Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry. 'Cause you love him in London.
This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
I believe in Joe Hendry.
Place to Be Nation Wrestling Network. We're back. The latest episode of Who's Next. I am Andy Atherton, one of your co-hosts here, and we are going to be breaking down the last, couple months of NXT TV. It's been a bit, but, we're back, and we, a lot of stuff has happened. We always say that, but this was an especially interesting period of time. And who's we? Well, that is my co-host, the Mud Pie, Logan Crosland. Logan, great to be back here breaking down some NXT.
Yes, it's always good to be here with you, Andy, talking our favorite brand of WWE. So definitely excited to talk about the months that have happened, the continued kind of crossover stuff that they've been doing. So we'll get into it, though. Yeah,
and it's, just happens to be my luck, I guess, as with these crossovers with TNA, that you're an expert on TNA, correct?
Yeah, that's what they like to say. I don't know if that's actually true, but somebody does say that. But I do host a TNA pod, so I'm definitely the TNA expert of the two of us. I'll say that for sure.
That's right. Well, it's not that hard to be more of an expert when it comes to most wrestling than me, but no, you do. Yeah, you do know your stuff, as you every week on the Backbone Wrestling Network with the Cross Up. Well, you basically cover all the news and notes for each week. That drops what, every Monday?
Yeah, every Monday. It was Sunday at first, but we switched it to Monday just because it seems like every freaking week there's a pay-per-view, so it's easier to kind of record that on the Sunday after, or just to get it in on a Monday is a little easier. So, but yeah, every Monday talk about TNA, AEW, and WWE, NXT, all that good stuff. So. Check it out.
All right, cool. Yeah, check it out every week, and lots of great stuff, by the way, over on that network. Okay, so we are going to go back to June 11th. So what we're going to do is something like we started doing on the last episode, where we're not going to deep dive into every show. We're going to deep dive really into the most latest ones because they're the freshest, and kind of it's the most current. And we're going to go through the results, and we'll talk about the shows leading up. So what we're going to do is we're going to just really go over the highlights, the results of the episodes that led up to Heatwave. And then we'll do, starting with Heatwave, we'll do a deep dive and break down the subsequent weeks. And as of this recording, so we're going to go up to, but not including the episode that aired on July 23rd. We will cover that on our next episode. And that will lead into the 2 weeks of Great American Bash and all kinds of fun stuff leading towards SummerSlam weekend. All right. Okay, cool. So, as I said, back on 6/11, the continued feud of Mia Yim and Jaida Parker continued on, where Mia Yim defeated Jaida Parker with an O'Connor roll. So that's been an interesting feud there because it's kind of gone back and forth. And there is another match we're going to talk about with them. What have you thought about them? Because I think Mia Yim has been featured a lot between NXT and on SmackDown. So I think she's somebody that in recent years she's really had a better her look. She looks like she's gotten in tremendous shape, but she's also been in some high profile matches and feuds, especially on NXT. So what are your thoughts on this little feud that these two have going?
Yeah, it puts Jaida in there with somebody that has a lot of experience. She's been around for a long time. She was in TNA for forever. She's been in NWA. She's been back in Impact since then. Been in WWE a couple of times. So it gets Jaida in there with an experienced girl, experienced woman, of course. And yeah, Mia, she's been all over the place. She's kind of been an MVP of TV for the last month or so on the women's side, because like you said, she's been involved with Nia on SmackDown, and they've had this rivalry boiling and continuing to grow. And It's kind of even gone into the tag teams now, where they're both kind of in a group with the tag team. So they've kind of gotten them involved too. So good for both girls for sure.
She's kind of moved into somewhat of a Natty role a little bit. Would you think?
Yeah, kind of a little bit. Much more entertaining than Natty, of course. But yeah, no, she's definitely been an MVP, and we'll talk about their later match. This one was good. Nothing blow away, but it definitely seemed like a feud starter more than a feud ender to kind of start these set of episodes that we're talking about. So, but yeah, she's definitely kind of become that like jack of all trades kind of thing. Can throw her in there with anybody. Kind of like Natty used to be.
Yeah. All right. So we have a backstage thing with Chase U and Rich Holland continuing their storyline. And then back in the ring, we have a 6-man match with Gallus, Mark Coffey, Joe Coffey, and Wolfgang taking on the New Cash Republic. That's Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, and with their partner Wes Lee. And Gallus goes over in this match when Joe Coffey pins Wes Lee after an all best for the bells. You're not as high on Gallus as I might be. I still think they should be brought up to kind of be Drew's, henchman, so to speak. Although, I don't think Drew needs it right now, but at some point, I think maybe, like if Drew wins a belt, maybe to ensure that he holds on to it, I think there would be a good group to put around him. But if you have any thoughts on this match?
Yeah, it was solid. With New Catch Republic and Wes Lee being on one side, it's going to be entertaining because Tyler Bate and Wes Lee and Pete are all really, really great. Can always put a good match on with pretty much anybody. Yeah, Gallus was good and physical in this one. I think they could use a call up probably. I think they're good for NXT and kind of having another kind of experienced tag team down there, but they're kind of spinning their wheels. They keep they'll throw them in a feud for a little bit and then they'll kind of move on to the next thing. So they're not really doing much for themselves at this point. I feel like they could use being in a group and being like a couple of people or like somebody's heavy like McIntyre, like you said. So that would be probably a good move for them.
Yeah, because they're Drew's like the leader, and then you get the what was it? It's Joe would be the singles, and then Mark and Wolfgang would be the tag team. Yeah, I think it would be pretty decent actually, and it would elevate them being kind of connected with Drew.
Exactly.
All right, so we have Wendy Choo taking on Brinley Reese, and Wendy Choo beats Brinley with submission via a cutthroat choke. I think we may have talked about her new gimmick, where they kind of mix together, that whatever, I forgot what it was, that gimmick where she was like a Chinese or Japanese and she was like a mystical, and then the sleepy time Wendy Choo. This is definitely better. I think it's a little weird, but Brinley Reese, still relatively new, kind of green, and to get Wendy's new character over, she gets the win. Do you have anything on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it's just to get over Wendy's kind of new character. She's kind of still has the sleepy time attire, but she's got like dark face paint on. She kind of looks like she's like an evil clown a little bit with the face paint, and she doesn't really talk, and she just kind of stares and like has a creepy little look that she does at people. So yeah, just to kind of get over a new character, get her over as her new submissions that she started to do. It could be something. I don't know that they've really explored what it is or how she became that way quite yet, but it'll be interesting to see as we go forward what they kind of do with that.
Yeah, because I think she's actually decent in the ring. So, she's one of those that just the right gimmick and she'll be taking off. I mean, from there, it just doesn't seem like up to now things have really stuck as well. And this one it's a little Alexa Bliss in there too with her, her little possessed character, whatever it was. But definitely I see, them exploring and possibly maybe like somewhat of a partnership with Tatum Paxley, which we'll get to a little bit later. So then we get a Roxanne Perez interview, and she wants revenge on Ava for springing her battleground opponent on her. And then we get our WWE champion, Cody Rhodes, appears, and he is there to announce a 25-man battle royal to determine the new number one contender for Trick Williams' NXT title on the next episode. So what do you think of Cody coming back to NXT for an appearance?
Yeah, they bring him back, or somebody from the main roster back to cut these promos every now and then to kind of pop a rating. I think I'm not going to accuse them of anything, but I think that's probably the best reason that they do that, is just to kind of have him on there, get some eyes on maybe some people that you haven't seen before. Obviously, Trick's NXT champion, so if anybody's watched NXT before, they know who he is. But it gets you to watch, see that this big announcement happens, so it may get you to tune in for that 25-man battle royal the next week. So I like that they do this every now and then. They don't need to overdo it and do it all the time or anything like that, but bringing him in every 2 months or so to kind of announce a big match or a big event that's going to happen is always a cool thing to do.
All right. So we get our next match is Lexis King taking on Dante Chen in a Singapore Cane match. And Lexis King wins via the coronation and starts like a little mini feud here. Dante Chen kind of doing his best 1-2-3 kid with his a couple of upset wins he's had leading up to here. I dig Lexis King. I think the character is all there. The in-ring could use some work, but and it's nice to see Dante Chen. He's one of those long timers. He's like an Angelo Dawkins, a guy that was there forever. It seemed like, in Jason Jordan. Those guys were there, and finally, they're starting to kind of get a push. Decent wrestlers, just hadn't had that real chance. Nothing stuck like we talked about with Wendy Choo. Anything on the Lexis King Dante Chen match?
Yeah, I mean, Lexis needed to get a win, and this one eventually, like you said, he's lost twice at this point. They bring the Singapore Canes into the fray, and I think actually, I think Lexis has started coming to the ring with like a walking cane. Not that he needs it to walk, but he just thinks it's like a cool little prop. I think he actually ends up using that to help him win as well. But he does hit the coronation to finish him off. But solid match. I think this did good for Lexis and from an in-ring working wise. Just because I think Dante's a pro. He may not, like you said, he may not be the most heavily featured guy, most charismatic guy, but he's a good in-ring guy for sure. So I think that did Lexis some good, kind of putting him with him. And hopefully he continues to grow from there. Because like you said, I think he's got the character down, but he just needs to really hone in on the in-ring stuff. Yeah.
All right. So we get Eddie Thorpe, who is making, I don't know if this is his return, but he's, starting to make his way back here from, I think, injury. And he takes on, I guess I would say, recent Level Up graduate Tavion Heights, who has been a little bit on the show, but mostly on Level Up till now. And he defeats him with a brainbuster. Kind of not sure about this new Eddie Thorpe character. Like, he's a DJ. Like, we'll see that, I think, in the next episode. I mean, Tavion Heights, he's one of those guys that, has potential, and we'll see where it goes from there. Anything on this match?
Yeah, this was his NXT return. I believe they had let Eddie have a match on Level Up to kind of get him back in, ring shape or whatever. But this was his first match back on NXT proper. But yeah, Tavion's, like you said, been an NXT Level Upper for a while. But I think he's obviously, as we'll get on to, he gets a little bit of a call up in the coming weeks. But yeah. We'll talk about Eddie as we go forward. Yeah, I'm not super into the new kind of twinge to his character. So, but yeah, solid enough kind of return match for him.
All right. Then we had a pretty good match here. Sean Spears defeated Javon Evans via pinfall with the C4. Javon Evans took some crazy bumps, some crazy spots. I mean, this kid's got some reach and height on his jumps, and man, I just hope he doesn't hurt himself too badly, because he comes very close or to doing something bad with that announce table. But I like the kid. I think he's got a lot of potential. I'm excited to talk about on our next episode last night's match, because there was a really fun 6-man tag, and he was part of it as the main event on the episode on July 23rd. But yeah, no, I think the kid, the young OG, he's been good. I mean, for a kid that's 20 years old, he's not bad. He's I would say he's a prodigy, kind of like Roxanne, excuse me. And I think Sean Spears has been, I'm liking his character here. He's done more in his short amount of time here in NXT than he did in his entire AEW run. So, and I like that he's been in pretty much the main event scene since he came in. Any thoughts on this match?
No, yeah, Javon's really continuing to impress. He's a great high flyer. Yeah, he's not as crazy as Darby Allin is, but he has Darby Allin qualities in the fact that he just throws his body doing crazy stuff. So both of them need to probably slow it down a little bit in the next few years before they really hurt themselves. Kind of both playing the Jeff Hardy roles in their current companies. So just being the daredevils, doing crazy stuff to pop the crowd. But he does it really well. He's very impressive so far. So definitely excited to see his future and what it has in store for him. And yeah, Sean Spears has been used really well so far. I would probably like to. I think we're probably going to get it in the next little bit, but I would like to see him kind of maybe build a group of like young kids, young talent that he can kind of guide. And he's searching for all these lost souls. So if he could get like a few on his team and kind of guide them, I think that would be probably a good way to use him going forward. But yeah, he's been good in his role so far, and that they've used him well for sure.
Right. And we get an interesting moment backstage where Cody comes up to Ethan Page, Sean Spears, and Lexis King and says they all seem like they're in a good place. Wink, wink, nod, nod, all former AEW guys who have come over in the last, year plus. So thought that was fun. And then to close the show, we get Roxanne Perez, your NXT Women's Champion, giving a State of the Division address. And then she gets interrupted by JC Jane and Jasmine Nix and Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson and Lola Vice. Brawl ensues, of course. Roxanne and Lola end up standing tall in the end in the ring. So it's one of those, they tend to do this on NXT every so often with, kind of having the champion in the ring and the, crop of contenders come out to kind of lead into some stuff that's going to build up over the next few weeks. I thought it was fine. These girls have all been there. I mean, JC, is good. I think, she unfortunately took a little step back with her injury. Jasmine Nix, I've been impressed with her with the little that she's been wrestling. She's only been in matches for a few months now, and I'm pretty impressed with her. Lash greatly improved. Jakara coming back from injury, starting to be in the ring more, and Lola, we know how good she's been. So I think all these ladies deserve to be there. Maybe a couple that maybe could have been in there as well, but they're dealing with other stuff. What do you think about this? These last couple of moments in this show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll become more apparent that obviously the next week this kind of sets up a match. So you have two kind of three kind of random two partner things going on because Lola and Roxanne end up kind of standing tall at the end, like you said. Lola kind of staring at the belt, kind of making her intentions known that she'll have Roxanne's back, but she wants the belt in the end. And then obviously Lash and Jakara are a team, and JC and Jasmine are a team. But yeah, when I saw this segment was main eventing, I knew this was going to be the classic. The champion comes out, and then all of her contenders come out. It wasn't quite the one a few months ago where like the entire roster came out from the crowd. I don't know if you remember what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I remember that. They were just like appearing like all over the place,
like Nikita would come in and Roxanne would come in. It was crazy. But that wasn't quite this, but obviously I think it kind of led to that they were going to have some kind of tag match between these six girls the next week. But yeah, solid way to end the show, and then obviously the little AEW pot shot segment was pretty funny, I'd say. But yeah, solid way to end the show. Obviously setting up where Roxanne may go going forward.
All right, so that we're going to move on to the show from 6/18, as June 18th of this year, and the show opens with a number one contenders battle royal, which features 23 NXT superstars in there, but there are two spots by two gentlemen that are not from the NXT brand. One is Frankie Kazarian from TNA, and then huge pop in the NXT arena, whatever you want to call it these days, because you say his name and he appears. Logan, I know you believe in Joe Hendry.
Oh.
What was that?
I do believe in Joe Hendry. I've believed in him for a very long time. I was super excited to see him come out, obviously. I think Kazarian was a good spot as well. He's kind of a veteran, been in TNA for forever. He was in WWE for a little bit, but he never really got past Velocity. So it was kind of cool to see him kind of come back after all these years and stuff like that. But he's been a staple of TNA. Was in AEW for a little bit. That run didn't really last much past them winning the tag team titles at first. But yeah, two good guys to pick. Hendry, of course, is with the song and all the songs that he's done for all his special rivalries that he's had over the last few years. It's one of the most over guys right now. So definitely two good picks. But yeah, I definitely believe in Hendry for sure.
Yeah, he didn't last as long as you would like, I think. Also in the beginning, we get Oro Mensah chases off Ethan Page and they brawl to the back. So technically Ethan Page is never eliminated, but Javon Evans actually ends up winning by eliminating Sean Spears last. So any thoughts though on the action in this Battle Royal? Anything that stood out to you?
Yeah, it was definitely disappointing to see Hendry go out as quickly as he did, but him and Kazarian had kind of been having a rivalry on Impact Television, or a TNA Television, whatever you want to call it. I still ended up calling it Impact Wrestling most of the time, just because I'm not used to it being TNA again. But they had kind of had a rivalry going, and he got a lot of the NXT guys to kind of team up on him and dump him out quick. I thought it was again a good idea to kind of let Kaz, last for a while. Just to have that TNA representative have a pretty good run. But it was a good idea to Spears and Javon had a match the previous week, so it was cool to have it come down to them. Obviously, Paige is going to have a gripe because he got chased out before the match even really started. So, but yeah, solid battle royal. Battle royals can go here or there. Sometimes they're really good, sometimes they're not so good. So, I'd say this was a pretty good one. It was pretty action packed. So, solid one. Definitely surprised to see Javon get the win, but cool to see where that might head.
All right. So our next match is a triple threat women's tag team match, which featured JCJ and Jasmine Nix taking on Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson and Lola Vice and Roxanne Perez. And Lola and Roxanne win when Roxy hits Pop Rocks on Jakara. I thought it was a fun match. These teams seem to have decent chemistry. They all play their parts well, and you could see the rivalry between Lola and Roxanne, kind of, frenemies thing going here right now. So, you have anything of note from this match?
Yeah, it was a solid, triple threat tag between all the girls. But yeah, Lola and Roxanne were never coming into this match to lose. Obviously, after last week and kind of the staring at the belt that Lola had done, it was clear that that's where they were kind of go. They may throw one of the other girls in there or something like that, but it was pretty obvious that Lola was at least going to be somewhat involved in whatever the next women's championship match was going to be. So solid match, and continued to push the tension between the two after the match for sure.
All right, so we go backstage and we get Ethan Page, as we mentioned. He is pointing out to our NXT GM, Ava Raine, that he was never eliminated from the Battle Royal due to being attacked by Oro Mensah. And then our next match after that is Mia Yim challenging Kalani Jordan for the NXT North American Women's Championship, and I believe Kalani's first TV defense. That's and correct. She hits the Kalani hits the split-legged moonsault in a pretty good match, I think. So Mia continues to be featured, as we spoke about for about the last episode, and we get a little controversy in here with the whole Ethan Page thing. So any thoughts on these two?
Yeah, Ethan was always going to have a gripe. I'm glad that they kind of set up the match for later. But between the two, they don't really make it a number one contenders match because the battle royal was kind of a number one contenders battle royal. So it was kind of confusing, and I don't think a lot of people knew really what was going on after the main event happens. But yeah, Kalani, this is her first defense. Obviously, another good idea to put her in there with a veteran, kind of like with Jaida last week with Mia. Obviously, Jaida gets involved, screws her out of the title, so they were going to have another match inevitably. But yeah, Kalani gets a big win. The match was really good up until the interference, but that was needed. I think they needed to have another match. Jaida and Michin, of course, but yeah, good first defense by Kalani there.
All right. So then we get a video package for Izzy Dame, which is focusing on her volleyball background. And then we have Obafemi coming out to the ring, and Wes Lee comes out to interrupt him. They agree to an NXT North American title match, but if Wesley loses, he can't have another title match as long as Oba is champion. And then we have another backstage thing here with the No Quarter Catch crew interviewing Tavion Heights, and Charlie Dempsey books a match for the following week where if Tavion can beat Damon Kemp, he is in. So, we get Izzy Dame, who I think she's okay. She's still green. She's still finding her own way because she was really the almost the bodyguard, the Diesel to what's her face? Kiana James. And then we get our setup for our title, our North American title match coming up at Heatwave. And then, unbeknownst to us, there was a reason for an upcoming change in the No Quarter Catch crew. So Tavion Heights, may be getting the call to join the group. So, and any thoughts on these three non-wrestling segments?
Yeah, Izzy's kind of one of those projects that I think they're still trying to figure out what they kind of want to do with her, because obviously she was with Kiana. They've moved Kiana up to Raw, have done jack shit with her so far. But yeah, we'll see how she where they kind of go with Izzy and what they kind of do with her character and all that good stuff going forward, because she seems kind of aimless a little bit right now. Not surprised they went with the last opportunity challenge from Oba to Wesley. It definitely makes sense. Wesley's been trying ever since he came back to get this title from Obafemi, and it needs to end no matter what when they have their match at Heatwave. And then they seem to be Damon's kind of been he hadn't really been locked in on what Charlie's been saying the last few months. So to add another little bit of tension with the possibility of a new member definitely made sense, and obviously it'll make more sense in the next few weeks as we kind of learn some news as we go forward.
All right, so we get Fallon Henley in a match. She takes on Carly Bright, one of the many new. It seems like every new girl is like this little perky blonde lately. Between
did you know that she was a cheerleader in Minnesota? I don't know if you've seen that. I don't know if you've seen that packaged 1,000 times.
I know. Yes. It's a lot, and I gotta say they gotta. Here's a little gripe I have right now with NXT. A lot of the newbies, they're kind of blending together. Between Carly Bright, there's another girl that she's partnered with. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. Brinley Reese, and then we got OTM, and then we have that other tag team, which is like the babyface version. It's nice. There was a match last night. We'll talk about it later, but Ren Sinclair, has a little bit of a different look from her. She's got a different direction with her character now, and I'm very, excited for her. She looks good in the ring. So they need. That's one thing that I'm having issues with now. Sometimes with some of these new people, they just seem like carbon copies almost. They're just like, oh, this one is a little bit of a different gimmick. This one, what I mean? Like
volleyball. This one played basketball.
They're not setting themselves apart. I know it's early on, but maybe that's part of what happens with the changeover when they bring up a good number of people to the main roster. This is kind of what you're left with, but I think, Carly Bright, she's been okay. I mean, again, very green. Fallon is, one of those, she's getting to that point where there's going to be not much left for her to do. Like I've said before, like, when it comes to, I think what they're trying to do a lot of times now is give them both face and heel runs in NXT to kind of see, how they do with each. That's similar to like what they did with Roxanne, what they did with Braun. So I think Fallon has been really good as a heel. I think, she was kind of being like the best friend, big sister to like anybody who needed it. And I think that was getting kind of stale because, she was a little bit of, lost a little bit of a direction when they broke up her, Briggs and Jensen. But, it was fine. I mean, she hits the Shining Wizard. I think she's good in the ring. I think she's pretty much, she's one of those, if she's down here in a year, I would be surprised. I think she'll be on the main roster within the next year. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, she's one of those that like either needs to win a belt or kind of, go up and, be kind of a, a jobber to the stars on Raws. But bad as that sounds, she would get in there with girls that are, more experienced and have been on that bigger stage in that situation. So as much as you want her to go up and succeed and stuff like that, she may need to pay some dues when she gets up there. But yeah, she needs to. I mean, obviously they're kind of. We'll get into it in the later weeks, but they're starting to kind of put her together with some other girls. So maybe they'll start running things and be a force to be reckoned with. But yeah, I definitely get your gripe with all the new girls kind of blending together. And I mean, like I get that they're all athletes. I know a lot of the people that are getting nowadays are from these NIL things that they're doing with all these college athletes, but like I get it. This one plays volleyball. This one plays basketball. This one's a cheerleader. Like, give them a character before you're going to put them out there on TV instead of, oh, I'm an athlete. Well, I think most of y'all are athletes, so that doesn't really make you special. So, and I know it's not that easy sometimes, but if they're going to throw them out there, like, do a little bit more something than that. Like, I get that you're a cheerleader, cool. What else? But yeah, I definitely get your gripe there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're going to get caricatures, which is what they tend to do sometimes, like how Kiana James was a businesswoman and Fallon was a cowgirl, and this one was that. We had like Duke was a poker player and all this. Yeah, sometimes it's a little ridiculous and it doesn't stick, but at least it's something.
It makes them stand out for sure. Yeah. Like it may not be for the best, but it's something.
Yeah, not just a perky cheerleader. All right. Our next match, we have Chase U, Andre Chase, and Duke Hudson taking on the Good Brothers, Gallows and Anderson. And Chase U goes over in this match when Duke hits a folding press on Anderson. The Good Brothers have been kind of going back and forth, similar to Mia Yim, because it's kind of weird though, because they're heels, but she's a face, and they're all in the same group. It's a weird dynamic to me sometimes, kayfabe, whatever. But I think. The Good Brothers have been a good veteran team down there. They get some wins, they get some losses, and they're there to like work with the youngins. And they have not reached the success I think that some wrestling fans would have thought they would. I mean, they're kind of I find them kind of polarizing. Mm-hmm. Some people really love them, and other people are like, "What are we doing?" So, any thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I think they've been playing their role well. I think even when they came back, they knew they weren't going to be like a heavily featured tag team just because they weren't that way in their first run, and they're obviously older at this point. I don't want to say they're collecting a paycheck because obviously they're coming down to NXT. They're doing these tag teams some good. Like you said, they'll beat some of them sometimes. They'll get some wins here and there, but they'll put over a team like Chase U that's obviously somewhat on the ascension. As we'll get into throughout the next few weeks, but they've been playing their good role. I mean, they're not going to be putting in 5-star classics in the ring or even like great matches per se, but they can have a good match if they have the right team in there with them. And I think they did a pretty good job here with Chase U. They had a good match with Axiom and Nathan Frazier at Battleground. Did they face each other at Battleground, right?
Yeah,
right.
So.
Okay. Yeah, so they had a good match there. So, but yeah, they've played their role pretty well so far.
All right. So we get on to our main event for the night, where Trick Williams comes out to be on commentary, and it is between Javon Evans and All Ego Ethan Page, where Ethan Page defeats Javon Evans with the Ego's Edge. Post-match, we get Sean Spears hitting the ring, and all four men get into a brawl, and it ends with all of them being down and out. So there is some muddy waters here with the NXT title picture on who really is your number one contender. So we're going to see what happens. But these are the three guys I think that should be in there, at the top here, challenging right now. I mean, you could make an argument for one or two others, but I think these guys all seem to have good chemistry together, actually. So what are your thoughts? Because Javon Evans does another crazy spot where he almost kills himself, leaping out of the ring. And again, I sound like a concerned father, like, damn boy, you just gotta, we're impressed, but you don't gotta, kill yourself to impress us. Any thoughts on this match and the kind of what's happening here with the title picture?
Javon, be more like your sister. Don't take many risks.
No.
I'm just playing. But no, yeah. Obviously, it muddies up the title picture, kind of like you said. Javon wins the Battle Royal at the beginning of the night. They don't really say this is for that number one contendership, so we'll kind of see as we go forward. But obviously, looking at the end of the night, all four guys are kind of laid out. You kind of think, obviously, this one's going to be headed for a fatal four-way. We'll see if that pans out, but yeah, that was kind of the feeling coming out of this one. We kind of needed something to get Sean Spears in there, but obviously, Ethan and Javon after this night have a perfectly good gripe that they deserve a title shot.
All right. Cool. So that's going to bring us on to our next episode, which is from June 25th. And the show opens with Ava Raine giving the referees and security a pep talk about needing them to focus tonight and making sure nothing goes wrong. And our first match is a number one contenders turmoil match between several tag teams that features Chase U, Inoue and Blade, the Good Brothers, Legado del Fantasma, the New Catch Republic. So we'll start off with Inoue and Blade taking on the New Catch Republic, and New Catch Republic eliminates Inoue and Blade by pinfall from Tyler Bate. Then we get Legado del Fantasma out there, and we get the New Catch Republic defeating them as well when Tyler Bate hits the Tyler Driver 97 on Humberto Carrillo. The Good Brothers are now out, and the New Catch Republic continue to roll when they hit an inside cradle on Luke Gallows. Then we get Chase U in, and we get Chase U eliminating the New Catch Republic by a pinfall diving crossbody from Andre Chase on Tyler Dunn, and they become the number one contenders for the NXT Championship. So this was fun. New Catch Republic, had a really good run in here. Inoue and Blade, you know how we feel about them. Look, their talent is just, I don't have a reason to care about them. That's kind of what it is. Good Brothers are in there to do what they do. Legado del Fantasma, they're really, SmackDown guys. So, okay with them losing. Any thoughts on this match?
Yeah, obviously New Catch Republic, and they go on quite a run. Bate, absolutely destroying himself in this match. I think this is he's actually out with an injury right now. I think this is actually the match where he got hurt. It might have been a later one at that maybe, but I think he does maybe get hurt in this match. But yeah, they have heck of a run, of course. But yeah, they're kind of on SmackDown. Obviously, the OC kind of floats back and forth. Legado kind of floats back and forth. So, your only really NXT tag teams in this one are Blade and Inoue, which aren't going to win. And then Chase U obviously got a big win over the OC, the Good Brothers, last week. So it seemed like they were kind of building towards something. And obviously Ridge kind of sacrificed himself in this match to kind of help them win in the end. Not a bad choice to have Chase U win here. But obviously pushing that little bit that, Ridge is kind of helping them along.
All right. So we get Roxanne throwing her weight around backstage, yelling at Carly Bright, of all people. We get All Ego Ethan Page in the ring talking about Heatwave and how Javon Evans has a title shot for winning the Battle Royal. Problem is that he won the Battle Royal that Ethan Page was never eliminated from. And then he asked Ava Raine to come out. She admits, that he had a point. He did pin Javon, and then we get Sean Spears entering. And then he apologizes for the interruption. And we get Trick entering. And then we get, Spears attacking, ends up, Spears attacks and joins, and Paige joins him, putting the boost to Trick. Then we get Javon Evans making the save. So, we're getting our title picture again. Is still starting to mix it up. And then we get Stevie Turner chatting with Robert Stone. Now, when was it? Stevie Turner all of a sudden just, she takes on Jordan Grace, and now she's like an assistant GM. Is that what we're doing with her? I don't understand. So what are your thoughts on this, the continue of these four men in the title picture? And then any thoughts on the whole, Robert Stone, Stevie Turner stuff that's happening?
Yeah, I'd say their chemistry is pretty good. Stone and Turner, them going back and forth, trying to impress Ava the most, trying to be the better assistant.
Better than Ava. Ava's terrible.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe they'll maybe they'll take over at some point and be like a GM couple of some sort. No, their chemistry is pretty good. I think Steve, after Stevie lost to Jordan, she kind of tried to give Ava some ideas to do, and then Ava just kind of blew her off, obviously. But yeah, the segment with the four guys and the NXT title picture, obviously continuing to push the idea that we'll probably get a fatal four-way, a triple threat at the least. But yeah, we're gonna get some kind of match involving these four guys at some point in the next few weeks, if not at Heatwave.
Yeah. All right, so our next match is Joe Coffey taking on Wes Lee. We get a back and forth match here, and Joe goes for all the best of the bells, and Wes ducks it and hits the cardiac kick and gets the win via pinfall. Then we get Obafemi appearing and tells Wes Lee he gets his title match for the first and final time, and he'll see him at Heatwave. And we go backstage, and the D'Angelo family are interviewed, and D'Angelo, Tony's confident retaining, but he knows Nathan Frazier is dangerous but fast. And then we get some more Chase U stuff with Ridge Holland and Duke Hudson when a courier gives an envelope to Duke, and then that continues that on. So we'll pause there. So any thoughts on the Wes Lee Joe Coffey match? Because we know how much you love Joe Coffey.
I do love Wes Lee at least, so he made it as good as he possibly could. It wasn't a very long match. Wes Lee pretty much kind of squashes him here. Coffey gets some offense, but it only went like 3 minutes. Wes Lee gets a pretty convincing victory to get. I don't think they said this was a number one contendership match, but obviously Coffey had some problems with Wes Lee getting the shot that Obafemi kind of granted him last week. So. But yeah, I always love when people come on the balcony and cut a little promo after a match. It makes for a good visual in my mind. And then Tony D's not, he's not ducking Nathan tonight. He's not doubting that he'll bring his all in their Heritage Cup match later. And yeah, obviously continuing the conflict with Ridge and Duke, because Duke knows what happened last week and he knows kind of what happened this week, but they kind of put on a nice face for the rest of Chase U because they all seem super excited. So we'll see where that gun continues to go.
All right. So then our next match is Tony D'Angelo defending the NXT Heritage Cup against Nathan Frazier. And then in round one, we get, Frazier running amok like he always does. And he wins the first pinfall with a folding press going up 1-0. We go into round two, where Tony D stays in control, and he wins the second fall via pinfall with a slam. And he evens it up 1-1. In round three, there's really nothing going on, and no pinfalls or decisions. Same with round four. And then in round five, it gets interesting, where Nathan Frazier hits a enziguri that sends Tony to the floor. He hits a drop kick, and Tony goes into the steel steps and back inside, a missile drop kick and a Phoenix splash, and Tony D is saved by the bell. Then we move on to round 6 with Nathan with a final cut, and then he heads for the turnbuckle. Nobody home. Phoenix splash, kick out of the corner. He skins the cat, but Tony D cuts him off. Big back dry drop off the top, and then we get a spine buster. And Tony D wins the third and final fall and goes up 2-1, retains the NXT Heritage Cup. Like I said, the Heritage Cup has been growing on me. I like that they finally got it off Noam Dar, and now Tony D has really been. He's a guy that I think he's like one of those. He's like the Fallon Henley. He's like do cuts, and he's part of that kind of group that has been there for a while. And if he's not going to be in the world title picture or the NXT North American picture, this is something good for him to work with, because I actually think that the D'Angelo family may work on the main roster. So we'll have to see how that goes. But what are your thoughts on this match?
Nah, yeah, this is what the Heritage Cup kind of matches can be. This is the best version of this that I think we've seen in the last little while. It's got a power guy like Tony D'Angelo in there that can throw that big spine buster he started doing is sick. He really lifts them super high in the air and just slams them down. So that's a really cool new finisher that he's kind of started doing. But Frazier's a good opponent to kind of go in there with a power guy like Tony D. And I'm with you. I think the D'Angelo family could work on the main roster. I don't know that Stacks and Crucifino are quite. I mean, I think Stacks could kind of hold his own, but I'm not sure Crucifino is quite ready for the call up yet. But,
well, yes, and same with Adriana too. Yeah.
Yeah. She definitely would have to stay. She'd have to kind of play the Elektra Lopez role in that scenario, because she obviously stayed down when Santos went up.
Kind of same thing with Carmella too. With
that's true.
With Enzo and Big Cass, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, she definitely needs some more seasoning for sure, because we haven't even seen her back in the ring again since we kind of shadowed her when she first started wrestling a little bit. So, but yeah, this is what the Heritage Cup can be. Obviously, Axiom's kind of he's not pissed at Nathan, but he his focus isn't on their tag team titles as much as he would like them to be, and obviously he took this match and took some pretty brutal spots. So. We'll see where their relationship kind of goes from here.
All right. So we move on to Javon telling Trick he'll be in his corner tonight, but Trick wants him to focus on the title match. So we get Roxanne making her entrance, and we get our next match, which is Roxanne taking on Karmen Petrovic. We get Lola Vice on commentary, and not a very long match. We get a little back and forth. Perez chokes down Petrovic, and then Karmen hits with a series of kicks, but Roxanne blocks one and hits Pop Rocks for the win. Post-match, we get Lola Vice attacking and leaving Perez laying on the floor. And we go backstage, and we got Noam Dar informing us that his tendon got ripped off the bone, so he'll be out for a while. Oro Mensah says it's not about getting back to Ethan Page, it's about avenging for Noam, and that's why he's his main man. And then Noam says that's beautiful, thanks for sharing, and the whole story, yada yada yada. So we get a little continue with the Javon and Trick. We get a decent little match. I mean, Karmen Petrovic, I think she's probably one of the out of the new class, she's one of the top girls, I think, because she's pretty solid in her ring. Her kicks look great. Her character is not bad. I mean, she's got a character, which is good. She's not like one of the other perky cheerleader blondes. And then we find out about Noam Dar, and he's probably not going to be back for quite some time. So what are your thoughts on these few things?
I love that he just said the tendon got ripped off the bone. He didn't say which one, so that could very much determine how long he's out, because one of those things could not be like the other. So, but yeah, obviously sad to see Noam go out. He seemed primed for an NXT Championship match at Battleground before he kind of went out. Obviously, Ethan came in and took his spot. So I don't know if that match was ever going to happen, or if he was, they just kind of put him there to set that up. So, but yeah, obviously, he Trick wants to be buddies with Javon, but wants Javon to kind of think for himself. Obviously has trust issues with the whole Carmelo situation that happened over the last year. So he's not too keen to trust anybody, but he does consider him a friend, and maybe like a mentor mentee kind of situation. Yeah, the Roxanne Carmen match. Roxanne obviously was going to get the win. They gave Carmen enough here to make her look impressive, make her seem like she was somebody that, after some more seasoning, kind of working her way up the ranks, maybe she could fight Roxanne somewhere down the line for the belt. But obviously this was more to set up the post match where Lola knocks Perez out, walks back with the title. And we'll talk about her going into Ava's office after this, but she walks away with the championship. And then it was cool to kind of get a little bit of backstory on Oro Mensah. I don't think they've really done too much with his character. He's kind of been, Noam's right-hand man. So to give him a little bit of a backstory is pretty cool, but ultimately, it doesn't really play into Heatwave that much. So I guess it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. All right, so we move on to our next match, which is Damon Kemp versus Tavion Heights, with Tavion Heights has a chance to join the No Quarter Catch crew, and he, hits a huge belly-to-belly suplex, and he beats Damon Kemp and earns a spot in the No Quarter Catch crew. Little did we know that this was Damon Kemp's swan song for NXT. Did you know he was leaving? His contract was up.
No, before. Yeah, I think it actually happens after Heatwave, but it was like the day after Heatwave. It was the Monday, I think, that he kind of announced it on Twitter. But no, I had no clue. So they went from having two Stevenson boys on the roster about 6 months ago, and now they have neither of them. So that's pretty wild. But we've talked about him a lot. He's been on TV for a good bit, and I just don't think he was really making any waves. Yeah. Obviously, I think he had a little bit more in-ring acumen than his brother, despite the fact that his brother came in with such hype. But I don't think it was ever going to really work out. So this isn't a bad loss, I'd say.
No, they can go somewhere and tags together and what have you, or I don't know, maybe he ends up in Impact, maybe he ends up a jobber in AEW, who knows, but we'll see what happens there.
Yeah. All right. Hopefully he finds work somewhere, like you said, but
yeah, we don't want to see people out of work, but when somebody's not working and doesn't really give you any is kind of that, like when they're on your screen, like, or when they talk and you're just like, oh, stop. I just really didn't like him from the get-go. I thought he never really did anything that impressive. So, because he goes all the way back to Diamond Mine, for crying out loud. So he had been around for a while.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, even in this match, Tavion is like a much more athletic, much more impressive and powerful version of what he was supposed to be. So, I mean, Tavion's already an improvement. He may not be the greatest or anything like that, but I'd say in this match he proved that he's way more over, way more exciting than anything Damon ever did.
Yeah, he should have that spot, basically. Mm-hmm. All right, we go backstage for a Kalani Jordan interview. She talks about being Meechin as a confidence booster. Jaida Parker runs in, demands promo time. Then we get Arianna Grace making her way to the ring. And we have Brinley backstage with No Fan Blade, and Izzy Dame rolls up to tell her that she's getting them nowhere. We get Tatum Paxley appearing in the background, and Izzy slaps the glass in front of her. Then we get Axiom telling Nathan Frazier how close he got, and he's nothing to be ashamed of, and then he wants to run some tape for their tag title match, but then Frazier begs off, saying he has a speed match tomorrow and he'll do it after. So there's a little, it's like funny dissension between those two, because it's like, we're tag champs, but I got this single shit to do, so don't worry about it. Mm-hmm. And then we have a NXT North American Championship #1 contenders match. Arianna Grace taking on Sol Ruka. We get a decent little match, a little back and forth here. We get Arianna Grace ends up hitting a comes off the top with an elbow and a knee, then covers for 2. We get a Cobra twist that Soul fights out of, a springboard elbow, fireman's carry, then an O'Connor roll for 2. We get a back elbow up the charge, diving elbow, nobody home, and we get Sol Ruka jumping up, kicks in the midsection, and hits the Soul Snatcher on Arianna Grace, becoming the number 1 contender for the NXT North American Championship. Kalani Jordan comes to the stage to raise Soul's hand, holding her title up as well. And then backstage, we have Roxanne storming into Ava's office to reclaim her title belt and accuses her of orchestrating some sort of scheme. And then Ava puts her in her place, telling her she'll be defending the title against Lola at Heatwave. Then we get Kalani and Sol walking backstage, saying they'll see each other at Heatwave. Then we have JC Jane, Jasmine Nix, and Fallon Henley complaining about Sol getting all the opportunities they deserve. And JC says she wants to do something about it. So, we get a bit of some backstage stuff, quite a bit of the ladies, in this whole section for the most part, with between the, women's title and the North American title. I think they have a good group here. Arianna Grace has been featured on TV a little bit more. So, and Sol has really, been pretty good since she come back from injury. So, it should be a fun match between her and Kalani. So, any thoughts on this stuff?
It seems like, it kind of seems like every few weeks they go like a really women's heavy episode where they do a lot of North American programs, a lot of backstage segment with them. They obviously have the men on some stuff, but it seems like at least like one episode a month. There's a lot of women's backstage segments, matches, kind of setting up programs on that side of things. So it's good to see them get featured a lot. Obviously, the continued kind of friction with Frazier kind of going for singles glory, while Axiom kind of wants to do the tag team thing and focus on that. Sol winning the match wasn't surprising. Arianna, I think, is getting there, but her Sol and Kalani should be a really good match at Heatwave. So I'm definitely looking forward to that one. I think Sol probably might. I think she's talented enough, over with the crowd enough to where she could probably go more for the NXT Women's Championship. So I think she may be kind of above the North American title level at this point. Obviously, we'll talk about whether she wins at Heatwave or not. But I think she could be somebody that could maybe take the belt off of Roxanne eventually. But definitely good to see her win there. And then obviously the Lola Roxanne match was going to happen. They finally announced it here. So, and then, Kalani and Sol still playing buddy. We'll see if that kind of holds out, but obviously JC, Jasmine, and Fallon shit all over them. So, that they're the new bad girls on the block. So, we'll see where that group can kind of go from there. If they're going to kind of run the show, or if they're just going to be kind of fall to the background again, kind of like they have been for a while. But Kalani and Sol should be a good match. But we'll see how that goes with Heatwave.
All right. So we move on to our next match, which is our main event for the night, with Shawn Spears taking on Trick Williams. We get all ego Ethan Page out for commentary. We get some back and forth in the ring between Spears and Trick. We get Oro Mensah appears to attack Ethan Page and they get pulled apart. Then, Trick Willie gets fired up and hits a flapjack. He gets a block to the bookend. Super kick connects. Then we get Spears with inverted overdrive. We get a haymaker with a knee and enziguri. Then he hits a lung blower, but Trick gets the bookend. Then we get somebody jumping the barricade and tries to crawl into the ring, but security pulls him out. And Trick then dives, grabs the intruder. The intruder grabs the desk panel and hits Williams with it. And then we get Shawn Spears hitting the C4, winning via pinfall. And we go back to Ava's office with Robert Stone and Stevie Turner lay out the problem the general manager faces in making a title match for Heatwave. And she says everyone has a compelling case. So she's booking a four-way, all ego Ethan Page versus Shawn Spears versus Javon Evans versus Trick Williams for the NXT Championship. So that, intruder ended up being Brooks Jensen and his new character. That's kind of interesting. But, as we move in, because, we have one more show to go before Heatwave, now we finally know what our main event is going to be for the show, and it's a fatal 4-way. So what are your thoughts on this match and where we end up?
Yeah, the match was really good. Again, Shawn Spears continues to impress. Trick, obviously, being the champion, he's impressed us for a long time, especially over the last year or so. Brooks Jensen getting involved, obviously part of his new character, as we'll continue to talk about over the next few episodes of TV. We'll see how much we like it, I guess. But yeah, solid match. Obviously not a shock. I was surprised Spears won. It makes sense kind of to lead towards the Fatal 4-Way to kind of give him a reason to be in it. Because, other than beating Javon, he doesn't really have a gripe per se. So this gives him that gripe to be able to say, well, I need to be in the championship match with if these guys do. Because I've pinned the champion. That C4 spike he hit, or C4 press that he hit into the turnbuckles was pretty sick on this one. I thought that was a pretty awesome move to kind of end the match. But yeah, we'll see where the Jensen stuff goes. But yeah, it's exciting to already have the Fatal 4-Way announced. Obviously, they can do some kind of segment on the next episode to kind of add a little more hype to it. But everybody has a reason to go for the title. Everybody has a reason and a gripe to say that they should be the number one contender. So it's always good when that happens.
All right. So we move on to the NXT show from July 2nd. That is our go-home show for Heatwave. And our opening match is a street fight between Jaida Parker and Mia Yim. And this was a pretty wild match. I mean, you were right with saying, this was the better match of the two that we're going to cover in this one. And they basically pull out everything. In the end, Michin puts a trash can over Jaida and sandwiches her in the corner, and then Jaida blasts her with a fire extinguisher, and a hip attack puts Mia Yim through the wall. Then we get back inside, off the ropes a few times, and hits another running hip attack by Jaida, and she ends up winning the match. So we'll pause there for a moment. So yeah, this was kind of a little, this was highly rated, actually, I think, also on this match. I mean, I think it was good. I don't think it was the rating that some people say, but it was definitely the best match these two have had against each other. What do you think?
No, yeah, this was really good. On the cross-up, I do like my top 5 matches of the week or so. This one was number 5 for me on this week. I don't think it was like the strongest in-ring week, so it kind of snuck in there a little bit. But I thought it was really, really impressive, kind of out of nowhere. They beat the crap out of each other. They get the crowd super into it. So, yeah, it was definitely one of the better matches of that week across all companies. So, just a really solid match, really good brawl. Like I said, they beat the absolute shit out of each other. So, that's always a fun time whenever that happens. Anytime weapons are involved and it's just pure chaos. And obviously, Jaida gets a big win. So, good to see that for sure.
All right, so we go backstage. We get Arianna Grace, being a drama queen, while Karmen Petrovic wraps up the hilt of her sword, and then eventually she asks her what's wrong, and she's saying, Arianna's saying she's devastated because she's from Toronto and she was looking forward to her people, and Petrovic says she's from Toronto too, and Arianna Grace says she's not as Canadian as she is. So Ariana's got
the way she said that was so great. She was like, you're not as Canadian as I am.
Yeah, she's pretty damn funny, actually. We got JC Jane and Jasmine Nix rolling up to talk trash, setting up, looks like a match for Heatwave. And we get a Javon Evans package. We get a tag match here with Hank and Tank taking on a new Catch Republic of Pete Dunne and Tyler Banks. And then we get, a fun back and forth with, Hank has just been cleared, so I believe he's, back. I believe, is this where he gets cleared, or does he get hurt here? And then I don't know, can't remember.
No, Hank. This is Hank's first match back.
Okay, Hank's first match here.
This may be where Tyler gets hurt.
Okay. So then we get, some back and forth. We get some wishbone to the fingers, set up a rebound lariat. Then Pete hits a double stomp to Tank, and then Tyler comes off the top and hits a spiral tap and gets the win on Tank Ledger. We get respectful handshakes all around. We get Sean Spears cutting a promo on how he came back to guide the young, experienced talent. And we get some Robert Stone and Stevie Turner, both trying to take credit for Oro Mensah's story. And Stone tells him he's got a match against Miles Bourne tonight, and he insists that she should tell him the bad news. They bicker until Mensah yells at them, demanding to know what's going on. And Stevie says that he won't be going to Heatwave because of his recent altercations with Ethan Page. And he takes it far better than either of them expected, and then goes to prepare for his match. So, this tag match was fine. New Catch, they're a good team, but I think there's going to, with the Tyler Bate injury, looks like there might be a change in direction for Pete Dunne for a while. And then, we continue with this, kind of oil and water act of Stevie and Robert. So any thoughts on the match and these backstage stuff?
Yeah, the match, like you said, was fine. Pete and Tyler are super entertaining. Hank and Tank have the respect of the crowd for sure. And Tank can be pretty exciting. He's kind of like Otis Light a little bit.
They're like Heavy Machinery, like a new version of it almost.
He's very Otis-esque, I'd say. And the fact that he's kind of a bigger guy that can just hype up the crowd with some good stomps and being kind of a crazy person. But the match was solid enough. Obviously, Pete and Tyler getting the win wasn't surprising. Again, I want to say, Tyler either gets hurt in this match or maybe a match on SmackDown. I'm not sure. But he gets hurt here pretty soon. And obviously, like you said, they're obviously going somewhere different with Pete. Kind of being a single star, and he even switches shows because they were on SmackDown before Tyler got hurt, and for some reason Pete's on Raw now. So, but yeah, the match was solid. I've been kind of saying that Sean Spears, he keeps saying he's gonna guide the youth going forward, in his, and he wants to share his wealth of knowledge and all that good stuff. So obviously he needs some kind of protege. To kind of guide. It seems like he wants to guide some of the young talent up. So we'll see if he gets some minions that he can kind of do his bidding, kind of guide along. So we'll see about that. And then Oro obviously gets told he's banned from Heatwave, but he has a match tonight as well. So good to see him get some in-ring action, but obviously bummed for him that he's not going to be at the show in Toronto.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to our next match, Brindley Reese versus Izzy Dame. We get some back and forth. We get Izzy ramming Brindley into the corner of the ring. Then we get back inside, and then we get Tatum Paxley being a weirdo, appears on the apron, and there's a near fall in the aftermath. We get some back and forth pinning predicament. Dame floats over, hits a big boot, and then a slam on Brindley Reese, taking the match. Post-match, we get Tatum slithering in the ring and chases Izzy out. We go back to the Chase U classroom. Andre Chase is saying they're going to win the titles back at Heatwave. We get, Duke and Ridge in a conversation. Duke admits that they didn't beat the Good Brothers clean and offers Andre the proof. And Ridge cheats, had helped by cheating. And he apologized. He just wanted to be part of the family, was trying to help. Chase says nobody is free of mistakes. And he asked him to stay back while the main four of them go to Heatwave. We get, move on to a Lola Vice already in the ring. Mic in hand, she tells Roxanne the clock is ticking, her days are counted. And we get Roxanne coming in, flanked by security guards. And then we get a lot of back and forth. Lola gets emotional about her journey and how she trained for the Olympics, but her mom got sick, so she went to MMA and proved to her family. And at 20, she was already fighting at Madison Square Garden. Roxanne ends up making fun of it and, tells her to ask, Natalia, Jordan Grace, Lyle Valkyria, who she's all beaten recently, that she's already building a legacy. And then Lola still have crying when she's going to show why she's the greatest MMA crossover star when she wins the title. She ends up taking one security guard out with a back fist and tells Roxanne that this might be her world now, but after she knocks her out, she won't know what world she's in. So that was, some people crapped on it. I thought, it was a fairly good promo on her part, showing some real emotion there. So any thoughts on the match between Brindley Reese and Izzy Dame, the Chase U stuff, and the Lola Roxanne stuff?
Yeah, I think the match just kind of established a pecking order. Obviously, Izzy's a little higher on the list than Brindley might be at this point. With Brindley kind of getting shit on the week before, it's kind of I would have probably had her win just to kind of get some revenge. But obviously, they have a little bit more faith and thoughts of where they kind of want to go with Izzy more, I guess, at this point. So. Like we've been talking about with Chase U, obviously Ridge has been helping a little bit over the last few weeks. They really cheated to beat the OC, but I don't think he really did anything uncouth last week per se, kind of pushing Chase out of the way so he could take the crossbody or whatever. But they tell him to stay behind, so that's two people that are banned from Heatwave, so Ridge can't come either. And then the Lola package the Lola Roxanne promo was fine. The crying thing, she did show some range, show some emotion. But I just don't know if it worked for me as much as it may have worked for you. But it did give the rivalry a little bit of spice. It made, Roxanne come off like an absolute biatch. Kind of making fun of the fact that she got so emotional about it. So definitely got the rivalry a little bit more heat. But the crying thing might have been a little over the top for me.
Yeah, they had to establish her as the baby face going into the match. So
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's see where we are. So we left off. We get a hype reel for Eddie Thorpe doing a DJ set. That feeds into Lexis King starting shit with him because DJs aren't real musicians. We get Ethan Page cutting a promo on how he's going to win the title. We get the No Quarter Catch crew getting ready backstage for Miles Bourne and Miles Bourne's match. Charlie Dempsey says he has the power advantage. He should use it. Then we move on to Miles Bourne versus Oro Mensah. We get some back and forth, with some kicks here and Kemp, still around. As you said, Damon Kemp is still around. Mm-hmm. He tries to pass Miles a pair of brass knuckles towards the end of the match, and Mensah comes charging in, and Oro Mensah wins via pinfall with a rolling kapu kick, or however you want to pronounce it. Then we get a Wesley video package and an equal and opposite package for Obafemi. We go backstage, and Gallus is brawling with Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Eway as babyface OTM, as I call them. And then we get
MTO is what we'll call him.
Yeah, we call it MTO. I saw what you did there. And then we get Brindley with Inoue and Blade. She says it's not working between them. She's going to work out, and if they can come, it's fine. And then the Good Brothers literally grab the camera and scream a promo at OTM calling them out. So Damon Kemp, keeps falling out of favor with the No Quarter Catch crew. Oro Mensah seems to be, kind of getting elevated now. And, maybe this, we get a decent brawl backstage, and this, unusual grouping here with Brindley and Inoue and Blade may be coming, to their end. Excuse me. And then, so what are your thoughts on this stuff?
Yeah, to start the kind of what you were talking about, Eddie and Lexis fighting over music choices is definitely a way to go for sure. Probably, a classic Tim Cable. What the fuck are we doing? But yeah, the match between Oro and Miles was pretty good. Obviously established Oro as you said, he's going to probably ascend from here. And be featured a little bit higher on the card, and obviously keeps the No Quarter Catch crew kind of there in the mid card. That they're continued to be featured, but obviously not getting a ton of wins. So we'll see where they continue to kind of go with them. They, I don't really remember how it works. I think it's kind of as we get later on in the weeks, but they start getting used a little bit on Impact. So. They obviously have some faith in them to kind of be one of the crossover stars for that little partnership. So I think that's kind of after Heatwave that kind of happens. So But obviously they have faith in them. They feature them a lot. They are willing to offer them to TNA to have them on their TV as well. So I think Sean sees a lot of potential in that group. The Wesley and Obafemi packages were well done. Really hyping that match, really showing, really getting over the fact that it's Wesley's last chance and Femi's going to do everything he can to destroy him, and make sure he never gets another shot at that. Obviously, we get the NXT Anonymous with the brawl between Gallus and DuPont Nigwe, or MTO. And then, it's sad to see Brindley and Enofe and Blade maybe break up here. But we'll see where that relationship kind of goes. I think they should just all part ways. I think they'd all be better off without each other. I think Enofe probably has a little bit of something. I think Malik is kind of probably where he's at and is going to be there for the rest of his career, or however long they kind of keep him around. I think Enofe has a little bit of size. I think he's a little bit more charismatic than he's kind of shown. So I think he could probably elevate if they maybe gave him a chance. But maybe they could all have a clean break from each other and be buddies, but not be teammates anymore. And then obviously Gallows and Anderson are standing up for Michin and going after OTM. So we'll see how that match or matches go in the future.
All right. So then we move on to our next match, which is Carly Bright taking on Wendy Choo. And Wendy Choo pretty much controls most of this match, and she wins via submission with a cutthroat choke, kind of getting her more established as a threat. She's kind of taking on some of the younger girls, the newer girls, and basically beating them. We get a Trick Williams promo, then we get a video package where the Heartbreak Man, Shawn Michaels, addresses Brooks Jensen, who has in fact not been released from his contract, but rather just asked to take a sabbatical and clear his head. He believes in second chances, doesn't want to just let him go. So next week he's inviting Brooks to NXT to have a conference with him, himself and general manager Ava Rain, to determine his future in NXT. Then we get a match between Jasmine Nix and Karmen Petrovic, with JC Jane accompanying Jasmine to the ring. So we get a little back and forth here. JC Jane tries to run interference. We get Jasmine hitting, a Shining Wizard, Carver 2. We get a figure 4 headlock. Then we get Fallon Henley shown watching backstage. Carmen then hits some flying forearms, kick to the midsection. But then joining with JC, Jasmine takes advantage and hits a Pele kick and takes the win. So, we get a couple of more women's matches here. Wendy, like I said, is kind of establishing herself with piling up the wins over these new girls. We get some, this mini feud here, it looks like, between Jasmine and JC and Carmen and Arianna. And then we get a little final clarity on the Brooks Jensen thing, because I even sent you a thing that I saw. It was a Twitter thing that he posted where he's like, not with NXT or whatever, however he said it, and he's sitting there doing shots in the daytime. So, and I was like, what the hell's happening here? So, what are your thoughts on the Brooks Jensen and then the lady stuff?
Yeah, Wendy getting another win over somebody like Carly is not surprising, obviously, to continue to establish the new character, the new submission finisher that she has. Kendall Gray is the other cheerleader, blonde, that was with Carly Bright in the corner in this one. So there's your other a cheerleader extraordinaire that we have on the roster now. But yeah, it was good to see Sean kind of talk about the Brooks Jensen situation. Like you said, that he had posted, Brooks had posted on Twitter kind of a video of, like you said, him taking like shots, saying he had gotten released and he wasn't with WWE anymore. So we weren't sure if it was real or it seemed like, with how over the top he was with the shots and stuff like that, it seemed like it was kind of hokey enough to maybe be like part of a storyline. But good to see Sean kind of talk about it here. and kind of reestablish that he was going to give him a second chance. And then the match between Carmen and Jasmine was fine. Obviously establishes Jasmine a little bit more. And like you said, kind of sets up a match for the kickoff show for Heatwave.
All right. So then we get backstage with Axiom, Ethan, Frazier talking strategy, where Frazier isn't talking about Heatwave. He's talking about his match tomorrow against Xavier Woods on Speed. Axiom is upset that he's not prioritizing the tag title match, and Nathan says they're the best team in the game now, and he'll be fully focused when the time comes. Then we get Carmen going to Ava Raine to demand a match against JCJ and Jasmine NeXT, and Ava says her friend already came and got her a match on the pre-show of Heatwave, and Carmen asks where Natalya is, but Ava has to break it to her that it's Arianna Grace that actually came to her, and Grace comes up to be excited about the match. We get a Sol Ruka hype reel, and then we get our closing segment of the night, which is all ego Ethan Page, Javon Evans, Sean Spears in the ring for the contract signing, and Trick makes his entrance. And of course, it goes like every other title contract signing, whatever you want to call it. And they all get their turn to talk about why they should be in the match, yada yada yada. And then they devolve a straightforward like, no, I'm gonna win talk. And Sean throws the first hand, shoving Evans, and all ego attacks Trick, eats a flapjack through the table right before Javon slams Sean through their table. And then we get Trick and Javon squaring up over the title to close the show. So, we get our pre-show match set up here for Heatwave, and then we get every time there's a title match or an interview or a contract signing, what have you, it always devolves into something like this. And I thought it was fun. That's kind of the way you want it going in, because it gives you trying to figure out who's going to go over in the actual match. So what are your thoughts on the closing segments of this show?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as they did the contract signing, you know how it's going to end. Somebody's going through one or however many tables there are. Somebody's going through one or both of them. Obviously, they bust. I think they had two tables in this one, and they bust both of them. So, that's going to happen. They're going to talk back and forth. Everybody's going to say why they're going to win, why the other people are going to lose, and all that good stuff. So, nothing out of the ordinary there at the end. It is good to get them in the ring and everybody get a little bit of promo time. So. That's obviously solid. Obviously pushing the Axiom, Nathan Frazier kind of tension a little bit more, that, Nathan's not really paying attention to the tag team stuff as much as he is the speed matches, the Heritage Cup matches that he's had lately. And that's more of the rivalry in the match than it is even with Chase U. So that's a little disconcerting, I guess, a little bit, that it's not really much about. I mean, they're both faces, so it's not hard to believe that they're doing like the respect angle or whatever, but the rivalry is almost more between the two teammates than it is the two teams. And then, Arianna being Carmen's friend that requested the match was definitely an interesting way to do it. But the contract signing was a solid way to end the show, but it wasn't anything that's not usually done in that kind of situation. Yeah,
well, not surprising, but still, it was fun. All right, so move on to NXT Heatwave, which came to you live from Toronto, Canada, and our pre-show match, Arianna Grace and Karmen Petrovic, both Toronto natives, and got a pretty good reception there coming in, and you could definitely see on their face how it was for them to wrestle in front of their home crowd, and they took on the team of JC Jane and Jasmine NeXT, and we get a decent little women's tag match here with some near falls here. And Jasmine hits an O'Connor roll, and Arianna cuts her off. But then Arianna Grace and Karmen Petrovic win with an O'Connor roll from Petrovic on Jasmine NeXT. Like I said, it was a fun little match. I think JC is fine in her role. I know she's still kind of recovering and wearing the mask, but she's kind of elevating Jasmine NeXT. And I thought it was good to see Karmen and Arianna kind of get that big pop and get the win in their home crowd. Anything of note from this match for you?
Yeah, it was just nice to see the two Toronto or Canadian girls get the win here. It was a solid tag match. It's probably one of the better countdown pre-show matches that they've had lately. So definitely a solid way to open things, but nothing that's like mind-boggling or anything like that, or blows you out of the water or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, it was really just designed to get the hometown girls a win, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So
and they'll have some tomfoolery throughout the rest of the night between those two. So
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So then we move on to the show proper, and our opening match is for the NXT North American Championship over Femi defending against Wes Lee. So we get Lee with some probing kicks, but Femi quickly takes control, lands a tossing fireman's carry drop. We get some stalking after Wes, choking him on the announce desk, throwing him face first into the apron. We get back inside, working the challenger over, punishing him, targeting his back in midsection. The assault continues, Oba doing the "you this your guy" theatrics, throwing him into the tree of woe. We get a 3-point stance, but Lee pops himself up, and Femi goes hard into the post. Kick to the head, sets up a sunset flip, but Oba pulls him up, trying to throw Wes out of the ring. He uses his leverage and throws the champion out of the ring. Dodging on the apron, but Femi blasts him with a huge palm strike. Big rock bottom backbreaker into the backbreaker hold, stretching Lee and demanding the referee ask him. Wes with up kicks, trying to fight back into it. We get a leg sweep, Rice and lefts, huge Superman punch, rising Inseguri's basement super kick. Off the first with a cartwheel DDT, comes close to getting a pin. Then we get Oba taking a breather. Wes dives on him. Back inside, we get a springboard into a Meteora caught. Lee rolls through, sunset flip blocked, but he reverses the powerbomb into a Hurricane Rana. But that's not enough. Big uppercut from the champion. Lee kicks out, back and forth. Cardiac kick, still nothing. We get Oba Femi to counters to the floor. We get Wes with a kick hanging off the ropes. Moonsault off the apron, but Femi catches him, hits the shoulder breaker. Back inside, double stomp, handspring caught, lands on his feet, super kick, right hook, handspring caught again. Oba then tosses him like a sack of potatoes. We get a pop-up, and Oba Femi hits the pop-up powerbomb and retains the NXT North American Championship, with Wes Lee no longer being able to challenge him for that belt. Fun match. I don't know if it hit levels of previous NXT North American title matches, but, you know, Wes Lee always brings it. Probably one of the, he may go down in history, probably one of the best PLE performers in NXT history. And Oba keeps improving, you know, dominant champion. And I thought it was a solid match. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was really, really good. Perfect power versus kind of speed, kind of quickness match. You know, Oba Femi continues to dominate, continues to have the dominant reign that he's had. Wes Lee puts in an incredible fight, fights back as much as he can. He gets beat down pretty good throughout this whole match, but he never gives up. He always comes back. He's always an easy guy to kind of get behind in the for the crowd, because he never stops fighting until he just really can anymore. But yeah, really, really awesome match. Really hot way to start the show proper. But yeah, you know, the fact that, you know, Oba's had as few matches as he has overall is incredible for how good he has been and how behind him the crowd is. So just a really hot way to open the show for sure.
All right, our next match is for the NXT Women's North American Championship. Kalani Jordan defending against Sol Ruca. We get, some feeling out in the beginning. We got a crossbody connecting, a stalemate. We get a drop toe hold from Sol into a side headlock. An X Factor is countered. Kalani pops up into a splash, whip reverse, cartwheel backslide. Sol kicks out, ducking kicks. The X Factor connects this time, cover. And Ruca then is looking for a Romero special, and she gets a full extension on it. Kalani escapes. We hit Frankenstein, sends Sol to the floor. Slingshot Tornillo takes her out. Back inside, Kalani with an X Factor for 2 now. Dragging her into the corner. Sol pops up. Kick connects. Springboard crossbody. A second. Then Sol rolls to the apron. Flash roundhouse connects. Springboard 450 lariat, but nothing. We get a kick block. Jordan snaps off a poison Frankensteinerana. Steinera, whatever you want to say. Ruca to the floor. Asahi moonsault connects. Sol on the comeback. Kick flip. Moonsault. Both women are down, out on the floor. Beat the count, and up top, jockeying for position. Kalani hits a 450 splash, but the knees are up. Sol snatcher counter, jackknife, then still no. Popping up into an electric chair. Poison Frankenstein are blocked. Inverted Alabama slam into the turnbuckle. Sol climbing to the second. but then Avalanche poisoned Frankensteiner, dragging her into position. And then Kalani hits the split-legged moonsault, winning via pinfall, retaining the NXT North American Women's Championship. Fun match. Thought these two really brought it. Kind of similar styles a little bit. Girls that can kind of move around quickly and hit some, off the top rope moves. But Kalani, just won the belt. I didn't think she was going to lose it that quickly. And what are your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, this is the one the dirt sheet dorks fucking ripped to shreds because it was just like a bunch of, they did like, at one point they did like a bunch of cartwheels and like,
there's a lot of gymnastics in the match.
Would do like a little, they had like a little gymnastics sequence, and they had a problem with that despite not having a problem with it when fucking Ricochet and Ospreay did it a few years ago. So like, I don't get it. But yeah, these two girls are incredibly athletic. I'm not comparing them to those two at all, so don't get that confused either. But that they do have a great athleticism, and it does make for an exciting, some exciting sequences for sure. They're both still young in their developments as well, so there's going to be some botches here and there in these matches, and a few do happen throughout the match, but it's a solid match, an exciting match. They had the crowd in the palm of their hands. Obviously, it didn't reach the heights as the first match, but definitely exciting. Definitely another good defense by Kalani, and like I said earlier, maybe hopefully Sol kind of elevates from here and goes kind of towards more of the Roxanne way of things going forward, because I think she could be a big star for them if they present her right and kind of continue to elevate her the right way.
All right, we got a little bit of a recap on Gallus calling out Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Eway on social media. We get Ava Ring congratulating Arianna Grace and Karmen Petrovic on their pre-show tag team win. Arianna takes all the credit in her usual delusional way. Karmen says she got the pin and they're a team, but Arianna says she's the MVP and she can't have an anchor like Petrovic holding her down. So then Ava books a match for the two of them on Tuesday. We get Lola Vice shadow boxing backstage, and move on to our next match, another title match for the NXT Tag Team Championship. Nathan Frazier and Axiom defending against Chase U of the makeup of Andre Chase and Duke Hudson. So we get Chase and Axiom to start, grappling back and forth, snap mare. Axiom holds on to the cravat, retaining control, drop kick, whip across, block a schoolboy. Andre rolls through, Rana pin for two, teachable moment, drop kick. We get Frazier tagging in, arm drags from Chase, kneeling armbar, tag to Hudson. They keep working Nathan over. Axiom tags back in, Northern Lariat on Chase, clothesline. Then we get Nguri from Legal Frazier, super kick party, goes for cover, doesn't get it. Champ's in control now, keeping Andre from a tag. Enziguri, but Axiom hangs onto the leg and turns into a grapevine ankle lock. We get an escape with a tag, and Duke is in, throwing the Champs around. And I gotta say, Duke, like I think I've said this before, Duke is one of the best hot tags, I think, going today. We get a fireman's carry, double knee gutbuster on Frazier, is also a senton on Axiom. Then we get Nathan off the ropes. Duke cuts him off, slingshot into a German suplex, and he's fired up. We get him up for the Razor's Edge, but Frazier reverses it into a Frankensteiner that puts Duke into the turnbuckles. Tag to Axiom, diving Frankensteiner, Duke to the floor, champions with a fountain of dives. We get a boot up. Nathan skins the cat up top. Duke handsprings into a takedown, bossman slam. Frazier up top, knocking Hudson down with a headbutt, springboard missile dropkick connects. Spanish fly from Axiom, Phoenix Splash. Chase breaks it up with a flip pile driver, and all four men are down and out. We get some tags made. Chase and Axiom are slugging it out, spent and staggered. Match breaks down again. Nathan accidentally kicks his own partner. The schoolboy gets on Axiom, but he kicks out. Then a tiger driver float over tag to Nathan, diving over, boot up in the corner. Frazier with a superplex, roll through, chasing the dragon, dive on Hudson. Axiom is fired up. And then Axiom hits the golden ratio on Andre Chase, and Axiom and Nathan Frazier win via pinfall, retaining their NXT Tag Team Championship. Fun match. A little surprised that, Chase U ended up being the team to challenge, but they're one of those teams that I guess I underestimate, and they always bring it. And this probably, up to this point, is probably the best match of the night. What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah, this definitely was match of the night for so far that we've gotten to for sure. Nathan and Axiom, despite them kind of being a thrown together team, they have incredible chemistry with each other. They're so good individually. But obviously teaming up here together has reaped a lot of benefits. They've been great as the challengers when Baron and Braun had the titles, and obviously beating them eventually. But yeah, Chase U, like you said, may not be the top team or anything like that, but they always seem to really pull through in kind of these situations if they're ever given to them. So and Duke, I think he's really established himself throughout this rivalry, and will continue over the next couple of weeks that we'll talk about. But I think he's really kind of emerging as a guy that they maybe could kind of break away from Chase U and be a big star for in NXT for at least the next little bit. So we'll see what they continue to do with Duke, if they continue to keep him with Chase U, if they continue to do the tag thing, or if they kind of let him be his own guy.
Yeah, I've been waiting for Duke to kind of get out from Chase U and kind of see what he could do. So I'm excited to see it. Maybe Ridge will take his spot and something will happen, and maybe Duke will walk away from them and kind of try to be his own guy, which is because he wasn't, that poker player character wasn't getting over, and then he becomes part of Chase U, and now he's pretty over. So now let's see how he does on his own. I think to see what the future lies for Duke Hudson, that I think that's something that needs to happen. So all right. Yeah. So we get a promo from Wesley about how he's going to have to go home and think. It seems like we get a promo from him like this, like every few months, about, now they can't challenge for the North American Championship again. And we move on to our next match, which is for the NXT Women's Championship, which is Roxanne Perez defending against Lola Vice. We start off with a feeling out, headlock takeover from Lola, shot off, shoulder block, hip wiggle, Lola off the ropes, drop down, duck a lariat. Hip tosses blocked, falling into a cross armbar, but Perez reverses it into a pin. Arm wringer, uppercut the elbow, back and forth, schoolboy from the champion for 2. Lola then pops up, kicks, speedball, kicks, body scissor, sleeper, but Roxanne rolls her to the floor and into the announce desk to break the hold. We get a thrust kick from Vice, but she goes for a back fist and Roxanne ducks, sending her hand hard into the ring post. Stomping the hand, working the hand, pressing the attack. Vice tries to grab a triangle, but she can't lock her hands. A desperate back fist connects, but Lola can't capitalize, and Roxanne rolls to the floor. Back inside, we get a cover. Perez with a foot on the ropes, back and forth. Pop rocks, Vice kicks out. Roxanne throws her to the floor. Pop rocks on the announce desk, and it doesn't break. Back inside, cover for only 2. Arm trap, crossface applied, wrenching it back, but she doesn't get it. Then pop rocks and another pop rocks, and then yet another pop rock. So I believe she hits 5 pop rocks on her in this match. And she gets the pin with the 5th one, retaining the retaining the NXT Women's Championship. I thought this match was okay. I didn't understand what was going on with all the pop rocks. She hit most of them pretty good. One of them looked terrible. But I didn't think Lola was going to win in this match. I think Roxanne has been really, killing it with her heel persona, and she's really, she's one of those people you didn't think that she could be booed, but she is. But I thought match was fine. I mean, Roxanne doesn't really have a bad match, but I thought it was just okay. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't terrible, but that's kind of how I feel. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, it was really good. I thought the match was definitely solid. Compared to the rest of the things we've seen tonight, maybe the worst match so far, but that's not like the worst thing in the world. I don't know that I would have made Lola the girl that needed to be hit with like 5 finishing moves to be, in the first attempt. She hadn't really been built as like that overcoming baby face so far, so I don't know that really needed to be done. That she really needed to go for the kill shot that many times. And she hits the 3 in succession at the end. She kind of screws up it ends up being the 4th one, but the second one in the series of 3 kind of looked really botchy. But I don't know if Lola didn't know that that's what she was going to do, or if it just got miscommunicated or whatever. But it was a solid match. But I don't know if they presented this maybe the way that it should have been, because I don't know that. Like I said, Lola's really established herself as the face to kind of be able to kick out of that many finishers.
Yeah, maybe a pop rocks out of nowhere would have been a better way
or
to
like
finish
a
the
middle
match.
rope one or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So then we get a social media promo from Lexus King where he talks about how he stands for real rock and roll, unlike Eddie Thorpe with his beeps and boops. And then he's got a title match against Tony D on Tuesday for the Heritage Cup. We also get a Tony D social media promo response. And then we move on to our main event, which is All Ego Ethan Page versus Javon Evans versus Shawn Spears versus Trick Williams for the NXT Championship. All right, here we go. We get All Ego taking a breather on the floor, but Javon dives right onto him. We get Trick hammering Spears with punches, whip reverse, ducking shots, scoop, and a slam sends Shawn packing. All 4 men in the ring. Baby faces send the heels packing, shake hands. Trick then ducks a roundhouse. Javon rolls through a bookend. O'Connor roll for 2. Springboard into a schoolboy. Then we get a drop kick connecting. We get an Arabian press, Tierras, sunset flip, cover for 2. Trick is getting mad. Evans ducks a lariat, springboard up and over, rebounds away from a lariat, but a body slam puts the young man down. We get a whip reverse, Arabian press blocked, drop kick from Trick Willie. Spears with a chair. Reverse roundhouses from the champion as Ethan returns. We get a whip reverse, leapfrog lariat, big boot of Shawn, double flapjack on both Canadians. We get Javon diving crossbody, wipes them both out, but he then takes a bookend that takes him down. We get All Ego passing Evans into the corner, big right hand, cross arm iconoclasm, takes both other guys out, and then another one gets Ethan a near fall. Spears up top with Page. Javon comes over, cuts him off. Trick underneath him, electric chair, and a sideways Tower of Doom out of it. Stereo pins from Trick and All Ego. Then we get Ethan and Trick trading punches. Spears in with a chair and wobbles both of them. Springboard from Evans as he cuts him out in midair with a chair shot. Leaning into the chair in the corner. Trick with a pop-up haymaker, but Spears gets out. C4 into the chair in the corner, but Trick kicks out. We get Page kicking Spears with Javon's foot, and then Evans kicks him. Shawn kicks. The match breaks down. Everybody's down and out. To the floor, clear the table. Page puts Trick into the ring post, hoists him up, but he slips out and posts Ethan. Then we get right hands Javon over the top rope. Conero puts the champion through the damn timekeeper's barricade. We get Spears getting Javon into a fireman's carry on the second turnbuckle. Avalanche C4. All Ego tries to steal it, but Javon kicks out. Trick picks up Spears, head scissors, takes him to the floor. Javon takes it to All Ego. Spanish Fly, diving Ace Crusher. Then Trick Willie breaks it up. Then we get Javon squaring up with Trick, trading right hands. Shawn cuts Javon off in the corner, pulling him up top, jockeying position. Evans with a diving Ace Crusher, double jump tornillo, but Trick breaks it up. Williams then counters with a springboard by Cole shoving Javon, so he hard crashes through the announce desk. Spears gets Williams up in a sharpshooter in the middle of the ring. All Ego breaks it up with the Tan Sheamus. We get Ego's Edge connects. Cover, Javon puts Trick's foot on the ropes. Headlock punches, hammering away on Evans, screaming at him, drawing up for the Ego's Edge, but Spears pulls him away. Trick shot puts Evans into Spears. The second trick shot hits All Ego. Page then falls on top of Javon as Shawn pulls Trick out of the ring and keeps him from returning. And then Ethan Page wins via pinfall, becoming your new NXT champion. And we get All Ego celebrating while Trick stands stunned and angry. So this was a pretty good match. Javon Evans was a nut in this match. I mean, everywhere, flying all over the places. I did think going in there was going to be a new champion. I thought it was going to be Shawn Spears personally, but I'm not upset with All Ego Ethan Page taking the title, because I think Trick needs to chase for a while, because he's not long for NXT. I think maybe by the Rumble he could be on the main roster, so it should be interesting having the babyface chase for a while, and gives us something new at the top. What are your thoughts on the main event for the show? Logan.
Sorry, I was muted.
It's okay.
I was talking away.
Anyways, I'm sure it was great commentary, by the way.
Yeah, it was great. Great match. Awesome ending. I loved how they did the ending. Evans was an absolute nut in this match, like you said, just absolutely crazy. That bump he took towards the end into the corner of the table was absolutely sick. Just nonstop action, really good stuff. The finish, like I said, was great. Ethan not really winning, but getting kind of knocked into the pinfall was a good way to kind of end things. But yeah, just an awesome match before that. But yeah, really solid way to end it for sure. And kind of establishes that new heel champion, and gets Trick back into the kind of chasing way of things. So definitely a shocking end. But I was kind of feeling the same way as you going into the show, that we might get a new champion here. But was that definitely still surprised when it happened.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting too that Spears let basically Ethan Page win by holding Trick out. So, maybe titles aren't, his character's not really about titles. It's more just about chaos, right? Could be a possibility. All right, so let's move on to the NXT show from July 9th. We get a recap of Heatwave. We get our freshly minted NXT champion, All Ego Ethan Page, making his entrance, flanked by about half dozen security guards. Gives a promo. Then we get Oro Mensah coming in, trying to attack him. It's taken out by security. He has a special thank you to Ava Raine for banning Mensah from Heatwave. That's Ethan Page, by the way. He says that, and he also talks about the incredible opportunity of main eventing Heatwave in Toronto, walking out champion, and makes a promise to everyone here tonight. And then we get he says we have entered the era of ego. We get Trick Williams entering into the fracas here, and says he's not going to make excuses, but he best believes he's going to get even and get his rematch. And then we get Shawn Spears entering, and then we get Javon Evans, and they all end up brawling with the baby faces standing tall. And we get footage of Ava Raine breaking her tag team. Footage of Arianna Grace breaking her tag team with Karmen Petrovic on Sunday, and Ava Raine booking a match between them. So, we get some fallout here with our new champion, and we're still kind of spilling over because the champ wasn't pinned to lose his title. And what do you think of the start of the show in the all ego era?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to be kind of in a new era with a new champion. Obviously, he says he's NXT. He's not, the kind of catchphrase of NXT for a while has been "We are NXT." So he kind of steals that and makes it his own kind of thing. So I'm not shocked to see all the guys kind of get re-involved. As all of them think they had the match won at certain points. So definitely, you definitely establish Ethan Page here to kind of start the show. So. But everybody's, all three guys that were in the match the night before are still gunning for him. So it'll be interesting to see where they go, kind of headed towards the Great American Bash. And then even, after that, I think No Mercy's the next kind of PLE. So we'll see kind of where they build for the next few months with that.
All right. Cool. So we move on to our opening match for the night. We got Arianna Grace versus Karmen Petrovic. A little back and forth here. Arianna, get some of her offense in here. We get JCJ and Jasmine Nix sticking their noses into it as Karmen grabs a Muda lock. Then Karmen ends up fighting out of a grounded Cobra twist and hits her kick on Arianna and gets the win via pinfall. We get a post-match Fallon Henley attacking Karmen and beating her down. Then we go to backstage footage of Brooks Jensen meeting with Ava, saying he has no excuses, wishes to take it all back, but he knows he can't. She says there's up and downs in this business, and you have to push through the lows. Jensen said he feels pressure as a second-generation star, so she must understand. She says she does, and Shawn Michaels were about to release him, but they were convinced not to. He's grateful, and she says she has to carry himself as a WWE superstar 24/7. He says it's his life, and he promises he'll make an impact, and then we go to break. So we get a decent little match out of Arianna and Karmen. Karmen is the better of the two in the ring. And then we get Fallon kind of joining the fray here, kind of playing with her "what about me" kind of thing. What about us with these new girls? And then we get some follow-up on the Brooks Jensen stuff. So what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, the match between Arianna and Karmen was definitely solid, I would say. Kind of a easier win for Karmen than I would have thought. I would expect it to be a little bit maybe more competitive, but Karmen seems to be the one that they're going with out of these two going forward, because she gets the win. It wasn't a complete squash, but it was a little back and forth. But she gets the win, and she's going to be the target of this veteran girl group that Fallon and JC are kind of leading. So definitely interesting to see what they do with that. And then Brooks gets his opportunity to kind of come back, despite him making some bad choices as of late.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how they're like, what about the newbies? And Jasmine Nix has only been around for
she's like one of the newest ones. Yeah,
so I think it's kind of funny. But anyway,
I also wonder if Brooks Jensen said Impact on purpose.
Yeah,
I wonder if he's gonna kind of be involved in that.
He could be. I mean, we'll talk about that, when we close the show on who's been going back and forth between the two brands right now. Mm-hmm. All right. So our next match is for the NXT Heritage Cup with Lexis King challenging Tony D. Eddie Thorpe is at ringside DJing because why not? I guess he's a DJ. So round one, we really get some back and forth. We don't get any points here. And then round two, we get Tony D winning the first fall, going up 1-0. Then we get in round three, we get Lexis King hitting the coronation, winning the second fall, evening up at 1-1. Then we get in round four, we get trading shots belly to belly from the Don, and then King gets a forearm, pops up into the second. Tony is with him, jockeying for position, diving DDT, connects inside cradle. And then Lexis with a super kick, another coronation, but is reversed, big spine buster from the champion. And Tony D wins the third and final fall via pinfall with a spine buster, retaining his NXT Heritage Cup. So what are your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, and maybe not the heights of what we had at the last Heritage Cup match, but definitely another solid one. Tony D's pretty good at these matches, kind of getting the crowd behind him and hitting some big moves. So but yeah, another chance for Lexis King to kind of show what he can do. I was surprised he got a fall, honestly. I figured this might be one of those situations where you could have Tony D kind of win via sweep or whatever. But King getting a slight victory, if nothing, over Tony D in this one. It was definitely a step forward for him. So, but yeah, maybe not the best Heritage Cup match, but definitely another solid defense for Tony D.
All right, and we get some backstage stuff for Brooks Jensen beating down Javon Evans. Then we get a Chase U segment where Ridge gets Thea Hale and Duke Hudson matches while they were out. And that leads us into our next match, which is a tag match, which is Gallus, Mark Coffey, and Wolfgang taking on MTO. Is that what you call them?
Yeah, the opposite of OTM. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not their real name, but we can.
I know that's not their name, but that's our joking name. Come on, we like to come up with our own little things on the show. Tyreek Iwe and Tyson DuPont. We get some brawling here. They're still kind of green, these guys. I mean, I think there's potential with them. But Gallus ends up getting the win via pinfall with the Buddha Doom on Tyreek. Then we get a trick interview backstage, and he says nothing's going to stop him from reclaiming his title. We get a Joe Hendry appearance on the TV behind him as he leaves. Then we get Wes Lee making his entrance and gets on the mic saying he had a rough couple of days. He truly believed he'd beat Oba to regain his NXT North American Championship, but Oba was the better man. So after, he doesn't know what to do, where to go from here. And then we get some familiar music hitting, and it's the Rascalz, Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz, not Nash Carter, from TNA. And Zach says nobody wants to see Wes go, and they've missed him so much. Trey gets it. Can't believe that they're here either. And Wentz says that this isn't about them, it's about him. And he's the greatest North American champion. Trey says the two of them are the best tag team there is to have foot in this building. Wentz says he wants MSK back together and for the Rascalz to wreck shop around here. And Lee comes in for a group hug. So kind of the reunion, it was unfortunate that Zach Wentz was released a couple of years ago, but glad that he, has rebuilt himself over at TNA. And I was excited to see this because I think Wes has done the singles thing. He's been great, but I think he really excels as being part of an exciting tag team or an exciting group. So I'm excited to see the Rascals kind of appear here on NXT. So what are your thoughts on the Brooks Jensen beat down here? We got this little tag match and the Rascals showing up on NXT.
Yeah, Brooks can't stay out of his own way. Obviously, Briggs come in and breaks it up and asks what the hell he's doing. Obviously, he's one of the people that kind of stood up for Brooks to kind of get him his job back. So obviously, he's already disappointed in him. I think that'll continue as we go on. And then, Ridge trying to show his worth and Chase U getting Thea into the NXT women's title picture, and then Duke getting a shot at Oba next week. Definitely trying to establish himself as a core member of Chase U and trying to get everybody on his side, despite the fact that he got left behind at Heatwave. This tag match was solid, like you said. Igwe and DuPont still have some kinks to work out. They're still pretty green. They've been on level up for a while, but obviously they haven't been under the bright lights of NXT TV quite yet. But Gallus gets a pretty convincing victory here. But I'm hoping that'll kind of end that rivalry, because it's not something that's, I'm not the biggest Gallus fan, so having them in a feud that gets pretty featured every week is kind of annoying, but we'll see where it goes. And obviously they do the Joe Hendry kind of tease that he's going to end up being Trick's partner now that Javon's out. And yeah, seeing the Rascal show up was awesome. I kind of thought once they started doing the TNA kind of crossover stuff, that they would do this at some point, because Wesley had kind of been feuding with Gallus. He didn't really have a duo to kind of team up with, so I figured they'd kind of eventually do this with these three, if they were going to continue to do the kind of crossover thing. So, but yeah, good to see Wentz back on NXT TV. I hate that what happened to him, but hopefully one day he gets another shot at being a WWE, and maybe Trey will come with him next time. So it'll be really interesting to see how this TNA partnership kind of works out, if a lot of these guys end up liking being kind of in the NXT kind of situation, and end up coming over when their contracts come up or whatever. But we'll see kind of how it works. But definitely excited to see Trey and Zach show up.
Mm-hmm. All right, we move on to our next match, which is Izzy Dane versus Thea Hale. And we get some decent back and forth. Thea, it's quite the size difference between the two of them.
Yeah.
We get Tatum Paxley coming in, running interference during the match, and Thea basically wins by submission with a double wrist lock, kind of starting to establish herself as Roxanne's next challenger. Then we get a post-match appearance by Obafemi saying he's going to destroy Duke Hudson next week in your favorite spot, right? He appears in kind of the balcony up there. Mm-hmm. We get the Rascals walking backstage when they run into Gallus. Joe Coffey trash talks, and then Wes explains the name situation. That's that. Then we get OTM appearing backstage, cutting a promo on the Good Brothers on their way to the entrance. Then we get Ava Rain yelling at Brooks Jensen for ruining the main event, and she books a match between Jensen and Javon Evans. Josh Briggs says he'll be there, but Brooks insists he's going to go it alone. Briggs says he'll take care of her, but he wants Sean Spears in return. She says she needs him to not interfere in the main event, and Stevie Turner pitches Briggs as a tag partner for Trick Williams, which has Robert Stone bickering with her. And we move on to our next match, which is OTM, Bronco Nima and Luchin Price versus the Good Brothers, Machine Gun Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows. And this time, OTM gets the win with a double spine buster on Carl Anderson. So some, continued, we get some more, with Thea Hale getting built up a little bit. Izzy, taking the loss there. We get, set up for the Obafemi Duke Hudson match the following week. We get Rascals and Gallus. We get OTM and Good Brothers promo. We get Brooks, kind of getting a little bit of a tongue lashing about what he did. And then we get OTM beating the Good Brothers. So any thoughts on any of that stuff?
Yeah, Thea getting kind of an establishing win as she kind of emerges as, Roxanne's next opponent. Like you said, a huge size difference. Thea's tiny and Izzy is a big old girl. She's super tall. So it definitely was a heck of a size difference. Definitely interesting to see her lock in the Kimura on such a larger person than her. But yeah, it was good to see them kind of establish Oba versus Duke for next week. Kind of, again, Duke grabs the mic, gets the crowd behind him, talks about how he's the MVP, says he's going to deliver a usual Chase university size ass whipping. So pretty good promo from Duke, kind of to give that match a little bit of flair. Again, Gallus and the Rascalz kind of running into each other, not shocking. They kind of mentioned Hendry, not by name, but kind of call him the funny Scott. And they said they don't want to say his name. They said they hate everybody from TNA. So I thought that was a pretty interesting little thing there, shitting on their countrymen. And then, yeah, Jensen, again, can't stay out of his own way. He gets kind of, like you said, a tongue lashing from Ava. But yeah, he will face Javon next week. And then, yeah, the OTM match between them and OC was solid. Good to see OTM get a win. I think they kind of needed it. They haven't gotten too many big wins lately, so to get a match over kind of an established team was a solid booking choice for sure.
All right. So then we get Fallon cutting a promo on Soul getting an interview. And then we get Charlie Dempsey appearing to be loading Damon Kemp into the trunk of a car and screaming about how mistakes won't be tolerated. He and the rest of the No Quarter Catch crew drive off when Ren Sinclair is shown begging off, saying she didn't see anything. So what could be going on there with Ren Sinclair? Then we move on to Fallon Henley versus Sol Ruca. We get a decent match here with both girls hitting some pretty good moves here. Henley, ends up blocking a springboard. It follows it with a spin out X Factor, and we get back and forth. She hits a soul snatcher on her, but then JC Jane, Jasmine Nick run in and attack during the cover, and Sol Ruca wins by DQ. Post match, the heels hit their finishers on her and taunt her before leaving with Fallon. Then we get some NXT Anonymous footage of Tatum Paxley swanning around and talking to a Barbie backstage, complaining about the cool girls not wanting to play with her. She throws the doll away, and Wendy Choo picks it up. Then we see Brooke Jensen through a door, and we get Cedric Alexander appearing with Ava Raine says he's officially on the NXT roster, as Stevie Turner takes credit for the deal, but then Robert Stone brings Ashante Theodonis around the way, and he and Ava go hugging into her office to work a deal out. And, we'll pause there. We get a decent little match here between Fallon and Sol, kind of establishing this new little heel trio with Fallon and JC, and we get this more weird Tatum Paxley stuff, and her and Wendy seem to be maybe forming into a little thing here. And then we get the appearance of Cedric and Ashante at NXT. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, and we get the writing off of Damon Kemp as well that you mentioned. Kind of
Charlie Dempsey doing his best Tony D impression.
Yeah, it makes for a pretty funny segment on our next episode between Charlie and Tony. I really enjoyed when we'll talk about that. So, but yeah, Damon gets written off. Obviously, Ren sees it, so that'll be part of the storyline going forward, as we see on the next episode as well. Yeah, the match between Fallon and Sol was solid. Obviously, was just leading to the attack where JC and Jasmine kind of come in and break the match up. So, would like to see Fallon and Sol get another match at some point that kind of has a finish. But obviously, this is established a new group, get them kind of over. So they take out Sol pretty solidly after the match. The Tatum thing, weird. She acts like Izzy Dame is the doll or whatever, talks to her, and then Wendy Choo comes in and takes away the doll. So we'll see what that's all about. Brooks is shown kind of talking to somebody behind the glass door. We don't see who it is. And then Cedric and Ashante are a solid addition to the roster. They've kind of teamed a lot on main event for a while, so they could be another tag team that they kind of add to the division that has a little name value, maybe not a ton, but I think they're pretty solid in ring workers each. but we'll see how they kind of use them. If they use them as rivals or if they use them as a tag team, we'll see what they kind of do with them. But I think Cedric for sure is a solid addition. Ashante, we'll see.
All right, so we get our main event, and we get All Ego Ethan Page and Shawn Spears, and we get Trick Williams and his tag partner. Say his name, Logan.
Joe Hendry.
And he appears. So we get a interesting tag match. We get a little bit more action from Joe Hendry than we got in the Battle Royal recently. But we get Page and Williams to start. Trick is fired up. We get some hip tossing on Spears. All Ego takes advantage of the distraction. We get Trick in the corner, Stinger Splash, tag to Hendry, gets a big pop. He goes off the ropes, double back elbow, fireman's carry on Spears, drops him to leave vertical suplex on the champion. We get Lariat sending All Ego to the floor, tag to Trick Willie, perching, diving, crossbody, wipes out the heels. Then we get Ethan working Joe over. He gets away, tags Trick in hot. We get a whip reverse. All Ego catches him with a rock bottom, kicks him out of the ring. Following out, diving shoulder off the apron. Shawn is legal, neck breaker for 2. Then we get pressing the attack. Williams fights back, gets caught in the fireman's carry, slips out, jumping neck breaker. Then we get Oro Mensah attacking Ethan Page out of nowhere. We get Trick tagging in Hendry as Lariat's DDT whip across, crossbody caught, fall away slam. Joe kips up. We believe chants intensify, passing Spears out to the floor. Trick with a jumping knee, throwing Shawn back inside. Hendry hits the high-angle cradle spine buster on Shawn Spears, and Joe Hendry and Trick Williams win the match and stand tall to close the show. I thought this was great. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, we didn't, we got really the entrance pop for the most part from Joe Hendry with the Battle Royal because, he wasn't in there that long. But this was a nice finally we get a little showcase of him in an actual match to kind of show what those of us who have not watched Impact have been missing this whole time. And it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the match. It was really good, and you can definitely see that Joe Hendry is basically the golden jewel, I guess, of TNA when it comes to the crossover right now. So what are your thoughts on the main event of the show?
Yeah, I mean, he's probably one of the most over guys in wrestling, period. Not
Yes.
even just Impact, not even just NXT. I think, he has the, like I said, he has the song. It went like #1 in the UK, which is insane, considering it's like the most basic, like 1 minute song in the world. And it's like his entrance music and stuff like that. And it's kind of been his thing. Every time he's in like a big rivalry, he makes up a song for whoever he's facing. It's usually like a parody off of like another song. And he just kind of changes the lyrics a little bit. Like, he feuded with AJ Francis, aka Top Dollar, from Hit Row, and he did Higher from Creed, and he changed it to "Will You Please Get Fired," like he has before. He kind of just changes it based on who he's facing and stuff like that. So it's definitely a super interesting character, kind of like a better Elias, I would say. That him and Elias actually even had like a indie match recently, and he did a song about him as well. So I'd say he kind of does that gimmick a little better than maybe Elias did, but he's much better in the ring than Elias ever was, though. But yeah, he's a really good in-ring talent on top of that, but he has the gimmick and he has the crowd support and all that good stuff. But yeah, this match was really good. All 4 guys are super talented, so made for a really fun tag match. The crowd was hot, especially from the entrance to everything that Hendry did throughout the match. So WWE needs to do a fucking full court press when his TNA contract runs out and get this guy in WWE, because he will be a huge star for them if he does, or if they do. I mean,
yeah, I think though if they do that, he needs to be in NXT for a while. Mm-hmm. I think, yeah. And then to really kind of get those WWE eyes and give him a couple of really big PLE matches and maybe a spot in the Rumble, and then I think he'll be good to go on the main roster. So. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad I'm getting to see this guy. I'm starting to watch Impact a little bit. I didn't even realize I got access. So So
I don't think a lot of people know the thing.
Yeah, my son told me that, so I've started recording it too, and I'm following them their YouTube channel now. So, I used to watch it. I remember once they got past that once they got rid of the 6-sided ring, which I hated, then I was like, okay, I go watch this. I couldn't fucking stand it. I'm sorry.
I got you. No, it definitely takes some getting used to, but
yeah,
it's it's had its peaks and valleys throughout the year. It'll be really solid for a while, and it's kind of like it's a little bit like NXT. It go through like series of times where they like lose a bunch of people all at once, and then kind of have to reestablish. But if you kind of hang with them. They'll have some rough stretches, but they'll definitely have some really strong stretches. Like right now, they just had Slammiversary, and that was a really good show. So definitely a good time to kind of pick back up on Impact, in my opinion.
Yes, with the artist formerly known as Dolph Ziggler, Nick Nemeth becoming their new champion.
That is correct.
So, very interesting. All right, so our final show that we're going to cover on this episode is from July 16th. We get the Rascalz reunited walking backstage. And it moves on to our opening contest, which is a 6-man tag match with Gallus, Joe Coffey, Mark Coffey, and Wolfgang versus the Rascalz, Trey Miguel, Wesley, and Zachary Wentz. Fun match, back and forth. We get we move forward a little bit. We get Trey sending Wolfgang packing with a drop kick, quick tags, triple drop kick. Miguel with a short dive into a DDT on Mark. We get the main MSK pair working the other two over to the floor. Then we get Wentz with a penalty kick from the apron, and then the trademark assisted shooting star press to the floor. We get Wes off the ropes, top rope Canero, double cheeky Nando's on Mark, double stomp assisted, and they get a double team backbreaker rack facebuster on Mark Coffey, and the Rascalz win via pinfall. And that is followed by a Joe Hendry hype reel recapping his part in last week's main event. And then we get a Chase U interview backstage, and then we get Roxanne Perez shown walking backstage before we go to break. So what are your thoughts on this opening 6-man tag match?
Yeah, really awesome. Obviously, as we've talked about, I'm a huge fan of the Rascalz. It just in general, all three guys, and they really brought it here. Obviously, and I didn't even talk about with the Hendry win. They let the TNA guy get the win in the tag match. They didn't have to do that. They obviously see something in him. They obviously want this relationship with TNA to be something that they can both benefit from. And that carries over here. Obviously, Wesley gets the pin, so maybe not as much as that, but they do let the two TNA guys kind of come in and help the one NXT guy win the match over his kind of rival that he's had over the last few months. So I think it is, as much as, some people might say that NXT's reaping a little bit more benefit off of this than TNA might be. But I think the fact that their guys are coming over and winning matches is a really solid way to build that relationship. And this match was really, really good. The Rascalz are all three talented guys. And as much as I shit on Gallus, they are really talented guys in the ring as well. But yeah, this match was really, really good to start the show.
Yeah, I mean, on the surface, you could say like NXT is getting, the Rascalz. They've gotten Jordan Grace. They're getting Joe Hendry, which are pretty big stars. When we're sending No Quarter Catch Crew, Tatum Paxley, Izzy Dame over to Impact. But the thing is that if you're watching NXT, you like Joe Hendry. You like what you saw from Jordan Grace. You like what you saw from the Rascalz. Guess what? You may be more inclined now to tune in to TNA. Exactly. So I think people are just looking at like what the appearances, but not what the appearances really mean in the grand scheme of things. So I think people need to remember that. Okay. Exactly. So then we get all ego Ethan Page, our NXT champion, bringing up some valid complaints to Ava Raine after 1 week of the era of ego. We get Oro Mensah rolling up, and we get saying that Page he says he's never going to get a title match, or he's never going to pin him. Ava says he's not in the title scene because he keeps attacking Ethan. She says all ego's going to defend his title tonight, and he picks Dante Chen, a man of honor, as his challenger, and Ava gives the nod. So then we get Roxanne getting into the ring and cutting a promo, and basically saying, she's talking about how Charlotte had her first NXT TV match 13 years ago, but she's on pace to shatter all of her records. that she's not getting any flowers, she's not getting any accolades. And what really is pissing her off now is the internet talking about Julia and Stephanie Vaquer and how they can roll out the red carpet when they get in the ring with her. She'll show them what's what, which, then Thea Hale comes out, who is apparently the next challenger, and they get a brawl breaking out after Roxanne says that she's not ready. She's not a grown-ass woman. She's just a little girl. And then they try to grab their respective submissions. Thea then has a double wrist lock, and Ridge Holland has to pull her off of the champion. So it's interesting now because we get, a little bit of both title scenes where we know it's going to be Mensah eventually challenging Paige. But, giving Dante Chen a shot against the champion is pretty cool. We get Roxanne with her, kind of like, why am I not getting all the accolades? I like that they mentioned, Julia and Stephanie Becker on it. So they're both should be starting soon with NXT. Maybe Stephanie first, because I think Julia is working on her English or something like that. You said, right?
Yeah, and I think she's recovering from an injury. I think she suffered a leg injury or something in a match over in Japan, kind of working out her dates and stuff like that. So I think she's kind of working through an injury. I think Vaquer will definitely come in. I can't say her name either. I've said it like 50 different ways doing the cross up. So
and she already had a match, right? With
she had
in Mexico.
Yeah, they had a big a weekend kind of tour of Mexico, and she had a couple of matches there. So has had a couple even main roster matches already. So, but yeah, I think Stephanie Vaquer will come to NXT. I think it'll be a pretty short run. I don't think she'll be around for very long. I do think Julia, when she comes in, will have a bit longer of a run, like you said, to kind of work on her English, to kind of learn the style of like the American style, the WWE style a little bit more. I think Vaquer is a little bit more, she's more she's just more adaptive to like do that really quickly. And I think she'll be able to go onto the main roster pretty quick.
She's more WWE ready. So
she had the really good match with. I say she had the really good match with Mercedes. I won't say Mercedes necessarily had a really good match with her, per se. But yeah, she really impressed in that match against Mercedes at Forbidden Door. So, but yeah, Roxanne, it's kind of the same gripe she's had for a while. So I would like to see her maybe change up her promo gripes. She's just saying she's not getting respect, but she's kind of said that for like 2 to 3 months now. So, but yeah, obviously Thea comes out, tells her she's not a grown woman, and that leads to a little brawl, and we end up seeing her kind of get Roxanne in a compromising position. So we'll see if that can happen when they have their title match.
All right. So we get a Klein Jordan interview backstage. We get Wendy Choo appearing to be weird and spook her. Then we get a little Vice interview backstage. She talks about how she failed her title challenge, but it took Roxanne 5 pop rocks to take her out. We get JC, Fallon, and Jasmine rolling up to do their Mean Girls bit. They tell Lola to go back to MMA, but she just challenges JC to a match later. Then we move on to our next match of the night, which is Brooks Jensen versus Javon Evans, which we get, moving forward, we get Jensen catching him in a neutralizer. Then we get Javon kicking out. Sean Spears comes down the aisle. Josh Briggs confronts him. Brooks tells Josh not to worry about him. And he gets caught with a big dive from Javon with a double jump ace crusher. And Javon Evans gets the pin for the win. We go backstage. Charlie Dempsey rolls up on the D'Angelo family card game and gives Tony a little action. He tells Charlie, you don't psst the Don, and says that he didn't think Dempsey had it in him to do the deal. Charlie is in a situation, wants advice on a hypothetical situation where there's a witness. Tony D tells him to take him for a swim. Dempsey says it to her, and Tony says, oh, you're on your own. We got Dante Chen interviewed backstage about a surprise about the title match. Then we get Trick Williams on a video call with Dragunov talking about his feelings having lost the title. And he asks Pete Dunne for advice, but Dunne tells him bluntly to figure it out and storms off, with Pete Dunne kind of teasing a heel turn with what's been going on Raw. So we had this Brooks Jensen Javon Evans match, which was fine. It's really about storyline progression. We get more of this, fun interaction between Charlie Dempsey and Tony D. And we get, Trick Williams trying to figure out what the hell's going on with himself, trying to make sense after losing his title. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, Pete Dunne basically tells Trick Williams to get the fuck. So,
Fuck off. Fuck it off.
Yeah. But yeah, that was definitely. Yeah, Pete's obviously turning heel on Raw with Sheamus and all that. So, obviously continuing to kind of push the fact that he's kind of had a change of heart with all that. But Lola setting up the match with JC, not shocking, to kind of establish the Mean Girls stable against the woman that just took the NXT Women's Champion to the limit. Like you said, the Brooks versus Evans match was a lot of storyline stuff, but it was a solid match nonetheless. Evans pulled out some, again, crazy stuff. That jumping cutter he did at the end, he got so much height on it. It was incredible. But yeah, just another solid match by him, and obviously continues to push the story along of Sean Spears being involved with Briggs, but also maybe being involved with Jensen. So we'll see where that kind of goes. And then I enjoyed the Tony D Dempsey little kind of back and forth, because once he says her, Tony D's like, "Hey, I don't know anything about that. I can't help you with that, man. You're gonna have to figure that one out on yourself." But Charlie trying to imply, obviously saying it's hypothetical, but getting more serious as it kind of went on was pretty funny. So, and then Dante, good promo ahead of his big match.
Mm-hmm. I love Dempsey as the most non-Italian Italian trying to act Italian. That's what's cracking me up about it. He's finally starting to show some real personality now. So it's good that he's coming into his own there a little bit.
Just a full-on fucking Looney Tune.
Yeah. All right, so we get our next match, which is for the NXT Championship. All Ego Ethan Page defending against Dante Chen. Page comes out very cocky, just shoving Dante around, but Dante, is taking it seriously, rises to the occasion, and we get some back and forths here. We get some right hands from Chen, lariats, Manhattan drop kick, sidestep, reverse a suplex, small package, but All Ego kicks out, then hits a backslide for 2, side slam. Dante heads to the apron, lines him up, but Page hits the ropes and trips him. Then we get a 10 Sheamus connects up in the crucifix, and All Ego Ethan Page hits the Ego's edge and wins the match. Then post-match, we get, Oro Mensah attacking, but All Ego cuts him off and leaves him laying. But then Oro gets up, cuts him off on the ramp, and brings him back to the ring for lariats and kicks before hitting a spinning wheel kick in the corner and counting for a pin. Then we get a hype reel for Duke Hudson. Backstage, we get Gallows grumbling about all the attention to the shiny new toys when Joe Hendry appears because they called his name. He says he's here in NXT to stay, and if nobody likes him, and people think about them and Drew McIntyre when they think about Scotland. So, and then our next match is Izzy Dane versus Tatum Paxley. We get, Paxley, hitting a Canadian backbreaker rack applied. Izzy hits the Canadian backbreaker rack, and here comes Wendy Choo. Tatum then ducks a lariat, catches a kick, dragon screw connects. Chop block follows, big boot, enziguri, single knee face breaker, elbow drop. We get a pump handle, gets a kick, cover, and then we get Paxley slipping out, ducks a charge, Izzy hard to the post, and then hits kind of a back-to-back lightning spiral called Psycho Trap on Izzy, and Tatum gets the win. Post-match, Choo and Paxley have a moment where Tatum returns the severed head of her doll to its body, and Wendy leaves her with it. So that's an interesting pairing. So, the Dante Ethan Page match was pretty good, for a TV match. Dante's a good hand, and Ethan Page is not going to lose to Dante Chen, in his title defense here. The Oro Mensah stuff, which keeps building him up to be like, a serious challenger. And then we get a little backstage between Gallus and Joe Hendry, which was a fun exchange. And this Tatum Paxley Izzy Dane match is Izzy with a couple of losses in a row here. Not sure what they're trying to establish with her, but this interesting kind of freak pairing. We'll see where that takes them. So, what are your thoughts on this part of the show?
Yeah, they gave Dante a good chance to kind of show what he can do, but obviously ends up taking the loss to Ethan. But a good spot for Dante for sure. Oro Mensah obviously is going to challenge Ethan at some point. He continues to be a pain in his ass, so that seems like maybe a match that we'll have on one of the weeks of Great American Bash. going forward. Interesting match. He's not the most exciting contender, I would say. But obviously, they have to fill some TV and get a, like a match on one of those special episodes out there. So it'll be a good match. They're both good in-ring talents, but just maybe not the biggest name that they could throw out there. But obviously, it's not a full-on PLE, so they can kind of get away with it in that scenario. Yeah, Gallus running into Joe Hendry was definitely funny, definitely interesting, because Joe Coffey tried so hard to just not say his name and not get him to come around. So it was pretty funny. And then, Tatum and Wendy continuing to wreak havoc. Tatum actually getting a win, which was shocking. We'll see if they make them a tag team or if they just kind of are, helping each other in certain ways. So we'll see how that one kind of goes.
All right. So then we get some Chase U backstage with Thea Hale and Ridge Holland. And then Duke coming out and talking about, thanks Rich for the title match, pointing out Obafemi is a man who can be beaten. Move on to our next match, which is JC Jane versus Lola Vice, which is a fairly short match with Lola winning via pinfall with back fist. Then we get post-match Fallon Henley and Jasmine Nix jumps in, but Lola fends him off. When JC recovers enough to join the tide, Turnstile Ruka and Karmen Petrovic make the save, and the baby faces stand tall. Then we go backstage. Tam Paxley is being weird with dolls backstage, and Kalani rolls up. Tam asks if she wants to play. Jordan says they're too old to play with dolls and walks away. Paxley drops the doll she had and picks up the doll that resembles Kalani. Then we get OTM with making up of Bronco Nima, Lucian Price, and Jaida Parker taking on the club. Machine Gun Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, and Mia Yim in a mixed tag match. We go back and forth through it. Back towards the end of the match, we get the club hitting a magic killer on Bronco Nima for the win, getting kind of revenge from their last loss for, both the guys losing to OTM and, Mia Yim losing to Jaida Parker. So any thoughts on the JC Jane and Lola Vice match or the 6-person mixed tag?
Yeah, obviously just to get Lola a win over JC, and to kind of establish that she's the baby face, kind of ended up with the Sol Ruka and Karmen Petrovic kind of making the save. Again, establishing Lola as kind of a new face. Obviously, we'll get a 6-woman tag, I'm sure, at some point. The Kalani Tatum little confrontation, definitely interesting. I guess Tatum has a doll for every person that's on the NXT roster, so we'll see if she continues to. I don't know if she's supposed to be like doing voodoo on them, or I don't really know what the deal is with it. So. But she seems to have a doll that resembles at least most of the girls on the roster, or anybody that pisses her off, I guess. And then the 6-person tag team match was solid enough. Nothing that'll blow you out of the water or anything like that, or blow you away. I mean, but yeah, they're doing a little too much back and forth with this rivalry. I wish they would kind of establish somebody. This would have been a good match for OTM to kind of win and put this to bed, because. Jada's beaten Mia, Nima and Price have beaten Gallows and Anderson, so maybe this could have been like the final little nail in the coffin. But maybe they'll do like a 6-person street fight to kind of add on to, or like a hardcore match to add on to what Mia and Jada were actually able to accomplish in their street fight that they had. So maybe we'll get like a weapons brawl between the 6 of them going forward, and that's where OTM will kind of finish things.
All right. So then we get a backstage segment with Charlie Dempsey chatting with Tavion Heights and Miles Bourne when Ren Sinclair rolls up demanding to be part of No Quarter Catch Crew, or she'll towel on them by murdering Damon Kemp. Dempsey isn't having it, and she tries to shoot in on Bourne and Charlie. When Charlie gets mad about it, she pledges she's going to keep at until she's in. And we get, backstage, making entrances for our main event. And then we get footage of a brawl that broke out after Alexis King interrupted Eddie Thorpe DJing. What are we doing? And then we move on to our main event, which is Obafemi defending his North American NXT Championship against Duke Hudson. This is a really fun TV match here with some, big men battle here, and we move forward a little bit. We get Oba hitting a headbutt with Duke handspring for a head scissors takeover. We get a crucifix pin for a deep 2. Then we get Femi gluing him with a choke slam. Duke Hudson kicks out. Thea Hale's losing her mind outside the ring. We get Oba taking him into the corner, sets him up top, climbing up with him. Duke hits a sunset flip powerbomb, but doesn't score the pin. To the floor, Femi throws him into the announce desk with the tossing powerbomb. He bounces off, back inside, laying up his challenger. He hits the pop-up release powerbomb and gains the pin and retains his NXT North American title. And we go backstage and we see Josh Briggs leaving the building with Brooks Jensen. Jensen challenges him to a match next week. Josh says the last time he beat Brooks up real bad, doesn't want to put him through that again, but Jensen doubles down and makes it a no DQ match. So this was a fun TV main event between Duke. It's a bit different because Oba's been, with Wesley, so we get a little bit of a different dynamic here. But I thought it was a fun match. I didn't think Duke really had a shot here. And then we get some setup for a, kind of a different Briggs-Jensen one-on-one match next week. So what are your thoughts on the close of the show?
Yeah, obviously that'll be an interesting match on the next episode that we'll talk about between Briggs and Jensen. There's no DQ match that they'll have, and obviously Jensen got in the car with somebody, so that'll obviously probably play into it as well. But yeah, Duke and Obafemi killed it. It was super awesome. Like you said, Obafemi's been facing kind of smaller guys before this, so somebody that was kind of like at least as tall as him. I wouldn't say Duke is much of a brick shit house as Obafemi is, but he definitely matches up with him in height at least. So, but yeah, just a bomb fest throughout. Like we kind of said in the tag match, Duke's somebody that I think that they could kind of run with if they wanted to. Because I think he's good in the tag. I mean, he could stay in the tag, and they could have more success and stuff like that. But they could probably break him out on his own and continue this push that they're kind of starting here. But yeah, they just have a great match. A lot of big moves, a lot of bombs thrown throughout this. They get this crowd super behind them. Just another great defense for Femi here, and maybe an establishing point for Duke as a single star. So. Hopefully we get to see these guys go at it again.
All right. Well, that was a lot that we covered, but we got all caught up. Thank you all for keeping up with us. So because we don't want to shortchange our coverage here. So, sometimes we'll try to go through a little quicker than others, but we definitely will go over all the matches and, most of the angles and backstage stuff as much as we can. So, but before we go, Logan, what's going on lately with you with your podcasts that are on the No So and on the Backbone Wrestling Network?
On the No So I've got Talking Docs with Jenny and Roger. We just started a music season. We did the Leonard Skinner documentary. That was a ton of fun to talk about. Obviously, they have a lot of bangers in their catalog, so we got to listen to some of them. Talk about some of them by watching the documentary that they had. And then just listen to everything at the Backbone Wrestling Network. We're all doing really good stuff. We just did Highway number 100, so definitely check that out. That was fun. We had some special guests kind of pop in, share some memories, kind of watch along with us at certain points. So that's one I'm really proud of. Obviously getting to 100. I feel like it was a pretty big deal, but definitely a pod that I'm super proud of, and I think the guys are as well. So, but check out everything on the Backbone Wrestling Network, just check out everything.
All right. Cool. Yeah, that's 100 episodes. That's pretty cool, man. Congratulations on that. Video Jukebox Song of the Days in the 560s, just saying. But that's a
we'll get there one day.
I know. It's a little apples and oranges with a little 4-minute review of a live watch of a music
we put ourselves
video.
Through brutality, Andy.
Hey, if you've seen some of the theme weeks I've come up with, they're no picnic for me either. Trust me, trying to come up with some of this stuff. But no, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, you guys are doing great stuff over there on the Backbone. You're all killing it. All guys, I'm proud to say, are my friends. So I'm very happy for you and wish continued success. And over here on the PlayStation Wrestling Network, this is my only show at the moment. And, catch us. We're trying to do this every, 4 to 6 weeks as much as possible. And then check out everything going on the PlayStation Pop Experience. I got the Video Jukebox Song of the Day. I don't crank out my other pods as often as possible, as much often as I would like. Just, life is kind of been busy and things like that. And it's also a little tough when your co-host on a couple of shows is 6 hours ahead of you in the time. So that can be tough scheduling wise, but I adore Miranda, and we try our best to get the Disney pod and the Muppet pod recorded. Also, trying to get back to my live watch pods. I should be getting an episode of Blockbuster Rewatch soon. I believe I'm up through Rogue One, and I think Steve Riddle's supposed to watch that with me. Maybe I'll get back to the Pixar watches. I'm going to get back to trying to do the shorts. I just did Once Upon a Studio, which I did. You're not going to lie, I do get a little emotional every time I watch that short, and I got emotional on the pod a little bit. And, cartoons of our youth. Hopefully, we'll have a new one soon. The last one, I believe, was with Sean returning, and we watched He-Man Masters of the Universe, and that's a fun one. That's a quick one. That's just a little over an hour. We talk about a cartoon that my guest loves, and we watched 2 episodes. So, and then, like Logan said, the North-South Connection, is the home of Talking Docs and many other great pods, as well as their YouTube channel as well. So check that out, because Logan and I do make appearances on there from time to time. So it's a lot of fun, a lot of, great community here. We all support each other. We are all fans of each other, and it's a good time. All right, so thank you all for joining us on this episode of Who's Next here on the PlayStation Wrestling Network, and we will see you on our next episode. Take care.